Buyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry now. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Zero Res. Get the jump on spring cleaning just like we did and get Zero Res out to your home now. Zero Res can clean basically every surface in your home, and since April is National Pet Month, it's important to remember that they don't use any harsh chemicals, so their services are safe for pets. Book now and mention the Columbo special to get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $119. Plus, they'll throw in a free hallway and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Just call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Hey, Tony Columbo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home.
Ever known, God's unconditional love for his people. A reminder that no matter where we find ourselves, God's love will guide us.
Love stories of the Bible speak. Pre-order your copy now at foxnewsbooks.com. Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Friday, March 31st. This is the Fox News Rundown. Former President Donald Trump is vowing to fight an indictment by a Manhattan grand jury, calling it political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. Trump attorney Joe Tacopina telling Fox's Hannity that the former president is expected to face 34 counts, which will be revealed at his expected arraignment next week. Senator Lindsey Graham with reaction on Fox's Hannity.
This is going to destroy America. We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in. How does this end, Sean? Trump wins in court, and he wins the election.
Trump telling reporters at CPAC earlier this month that he would absolutely stay in the race if indicted. Meanwhile, the NYPD has ordered all officers to report to work in uniform today, the order saying in preparation for anything. The president and first lady will travel to Mississippi today to greet responders and residents recovering from the recent devastating tornadoes. And the controversial Trans Day of Vengeance event that was scheduled to take place outside the Supreme Court Saturday has been canceled. The group hosting it, called the Trans Radical Activist Network, said they called it off over what they said was a credible threat to life. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Larry Connors, USA.
It's not uncommon today for young people to try out different labels in search of their truth.
In search of their truth or following your indoctrination.
Larry Connors.
Which came first?
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't pay, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire.
Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, no question there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. On this Friday, as we reported, only 25% of Democrats want President Biden to pursue a second term. This according to a Monmouth poll. That doesn't mean Dems won't vote for Biden. A sizable number would. But most want another choice. And that choice is not Vice President Harris. Just 13% of Democrats would like to see her in the Oval Office. Not exactly good news for Kamala. The biggest problem among Dem voters seems to be they don't know anyone in their party they would like to see replace Mr. Joe. The field is slim and none, with Slim in a coma. That's because liberal leadership has been a disaster in states like New York, Illinois, and California. In the Granola State, for example, Governor Gavin Newsom inherited a budget surplus and has turned that into a $23 billion deficit. Now California is passing yet another attack the wealthy tax, which will continue the exodus out of there. Think about it. Where are the legacy Democrats? The Kennedys, Tip O'Neill, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, moderates all. Today, moderates cannot exist in the Democratic Party. You've got to echo socialist Bernie or communist AOC. So it is Joe Biden by default. The man with no plan, the master of disaster. Let's get ready to rumble in 2024. Back after this. If you are a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and done in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. So please call Lone Star Transfer 855-551-7066 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow, so we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile.
So when you're mobile, stay mobile.
Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you
wherever you go.
Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Man, this has been an intense week in a lot of different ways when it comes to the news and everything that we're talking about. Hopefully we can go into the weekend on a much more positive note. We'll get into a recap of the news a little bit later on today as well. You know, we had a really good, if not challenging, conversation with our friend Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation. And, of course, with the Christian school being attacked early in the week with that just mad woman who killed people and then eventually got killed by police, it's also bringing questions to school security, especially in Christian schools that don't have the funding that public schools do, frankly. So here's how Daryl assessed what that's going to mean for Christian education and private education overall in the years ahead. Every kid who goes to school, whether it's a public school or a charter school or a parochial school or anywhere, has a right to focus on school, be safe.
Yeah.
And that's not guaranteed anymore in this country. I mean, look at Uvalde. Look at all theirs. And it doesn't matter whether it's a public or a private school. But in this case right here, what's different is that these people were targeted, at least to some degree, because it was a Christian school, is what the evidence shows us so far. We're not being told what's in this manifesto by this murderer, but there's at least indications that was one of the variables. I'm not going to say it was the only one, but it appears that it was part of the formula.
It seems to have played a role. I mean, obviously she had a connection to the school as well. So, yeah, but there's a lot of unknowns still, but agreed.
Yeah, so that's part of what we're talking about with our friend Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation, who joins us right now. And Daryl, I mean, you know, with you working with so many Christian schools, and I think it hit harder for me as well because both of my kids went to a Christian school. That's my family put them through that right there. And you know, it's heartbreaking and a tragedy when it happens to somebody else's thing, and we try and we feel the pain there. But when it happens in something that looks like your circles, you feel it more personally as well. We should feel it no matter what. And so when you're working with Christian schools and you're promoting Christian education, this is just part of what's going to have to be part of the conversation going forward, because we do have ideological based violence that is apparently on the rise in the country, Daryl.
Well, it's absolutely true. It's great to be with you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you on the topic. And it's, you know, it's just been a gut-wrenching week where, you know, certainly I think Christianity has always understood that, you know, the values that Jesus taught and brought were values of his kingdom, and it's different values. Look at the Beatitudes, and this is the Christian life, and this is what life as a Christian looks like. I think the church and Christians have always understood that they're living in a different environment, but the attack of children, this is new. And, you know, it is devastating and tragic every time that we see any kind of a school shooting, for sure. But the appearance, you know, obviously Senator Hawley has said this is absolutely a hate crime. Anxious to see, you know, the manifesto when it comes out as well to see exactly what was going on. But yeah, I mean, now, you know, honestly, we've seen it even over the course of the last year. The Lion, readlion.com, our online publication, has been talking about the violence that's been directed, you know, for the last year anyway, at churches, at pro-life groups, all, as you said, Mike, all, you know, ideologically driven, this violence. But now it's coming to our children, and our kids are being attacked. And at some point, you know, federal law enforcement needs to step up and not kick the can down the road any further. We're being attacked here, and for the most part, federal law enforcement's been silent on the issues.
Daryl, that actually dovetails with something I was going to ask because in the beginning of this month, Attorney General Merrick Garland was testifying before the Senate and was asked about the seeming disparity between the DOJ's pursuit of and prosecution of those who had committed these acts, these violent acts against churches and pro-life centers versus some of the pro-life protesters who stand in front of abortion clinics. And he kind of gave this very strange, particularly to Mike Lee, he gave a very strange answer, which was basically, well, the pro-life people they're protesting in broad daylight so we can see them, but the people that are vandalizing these centers and these churches are doing it under the cover of night, so they're clever and it's harder to catch them, which I thought was the strangest answer I have ever heard from a top law enforcement official.
Yeah.
They did announce this week that a man from Wisconsin, was being charged in that Wisconsin Family Action firebombing that happened last May. But, from where you're sitting, do you have any reassurance that either local or federal authorities are actually taking, these types of even not crimes against persons, but against property seriously?
Especially when they target faith-based organizations of any kind.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I think, from my vantage point, I think we saw local law enforcement, certainly in Nashville, rise to, heroic proportions in, the speed with which they were on the scene and how quickly, they stopped the violence. Recognized now nationally as, these heroes, these two guys that were there, these heroes that we've seen, in local communities. Are there bad actors? Well, in every arena, there are bad actors, but, there are a lot of good cops that are just trying to protect innocent people. And I think on the local level, in that sense of law enforcement, I think you saw heroic action by law enforcement there in Nashville in ways that you haven't seen it in other shootings, right? And so, from a federal level, though, those who are, supposed to be, manning the store for all of us and executing justice, when there's violence against citizens, the silence is what's been so devastating. And as you just referenced, what an interesting response, to a question regarding the prosecution of people whose ideology is different than yours.
We're visiting with Daryl Jones from the Herzog Foundation, and let me shift to something that obviously we can celebrate here. It was overshadowed, obviously, by the tragedy in Nashville. State of Florida, one of the biggest states in the country, they go all in on the school choice. Legislature passed a really big school choice bill. Governor DeSantis, who promoted it, signed it into law. I know that's Florida. We're talking about the Midwest up here, but how important is that, along with the momentum behind school choice, which I know you specialize in, obviously, Christian education, but this affects Christian education in a big way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think the key word, Mike, you nailed it, is momentum. There's just this incredible momentum. Florida is now the fourth state in short order to bring about, this universal school choice. And we certainly do celebrate it from the standpoint of, a child's education. Are they getting a good education? My wife and I were watching just a secular channel, watching news last night, and a reporter that was talking about, she was concerned about her children. Are they getting a good education? And this is the frustration that, we're seeing across the country, and obviously that legislators are feeling across the country as well, and trying to find ways to help citizens of their state have options and have choices. So, the DeSantis signing did get lost in the shuffle of very important nationwide news for sure. But we do celebrate that and the momentum. And honestly, it's going on across the country. There's frustration, and legislators are taking notice.
Daryl, one of the facets of this tragic shooting in Nashville was, and I don't know all the details, but it sounds like the shooter, had maybe a couple of schools that she was focusing on, but one she decided not to because of the level of security there, and then she went to the one that where she did commit this heinous act. One of the strongest arguments I've seen is that we need to fortify our schools, and we need to have, maybe armed guards of some sort, some security level. When you're talking about a private school, Christian school, the cost of that, I realize, is a very big factor in what they can and can't afford to do. Do you see a movement towards maybe getting more like armed guards, security guards in Christian schools, whereas we didn't used to see that sort of thing?
I can promise you that every Christian school board this week is talking about what are our options. What is the best solution, and trying to figure that out. I mean, this is, there was the horrific Amish shooting a few years back. You remember that in Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. But the first time that, mainline Christian school children have been targeted, this is it. And so obviously questions are being asked that people have, I don't know that they've necessarily seriously been faced with. Like what Christian schools have this week. And to be honest with you, I will tell you, even as a relatively new foundation that we're in our third year of operation, and we really felt like God has blessed our work as we've been trying to bring real tools and training, professional development to heads of schools who are running schools. And we do a lot of intensive deep dive trainings on marketing and enrollment, strategic planning, and donor development. And just this week, I mean, we sat down and said, we need to go back to the drawing board, because do we need to help? How can we help, school boards and Christian school leaders ask the kinds of questions about their facilities that they need to be asking in 2023. So, we're looking at what initiatives we can begin rolling out as well. And in talking with experts, I mean, I know there's always a number of different options that, whether you're talking about churches or pro-life centers or just any organization that's looking for safety, what are the best options? There are a number of options, but we always try to sit down with experts who this is what they do and what's the best option here for this school in this building in this context.
Yeah, so enhancing what you're doing for Christian education, because this is just a reality that's part of the entire process now, whether we like it or not.
For sure, likely a new normal. Unfortunately, it's now our kids have a target, and it's Christian schools now. It's been public schools before. It's heinous. There's no rationale. There's no reasoning that makes this a plausible situation. It's just reality.
Your News Talk STL Morning News roundup coming your way in just about 3 minutes and 56 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's just weird to be a lib. The best example of that, however, is their relationship with big tech. But yet the second big tech strays from that kind of pasture there, liberals lose their mind and start talking about regulating big tech and punishing them.
Weekdays at 11 on News Talk STL.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This is Julia Gordon-Bramer, your host of Mystic Fix. I'm a professional tarot card reader, author, and scholar of mysticism. Mystic Fix offers playful, practical advice and spiritual tools for modern living. It's a program for the whole being and journeying the lesser-traveled paths. Each show features guests and authors in lively conversation, ranging from crystals to Kabbalah, yoga to Yetis, and of course, tarot card reading.
Mystic Fix, Saturday nights at 8 on News Talk STL.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, it finally happened. Yeah, we figured it was probably going to happen, and then we thought, no, it's not. But yeah, it happened. Donald Trump is indicted. We'll get into that here in just a minute. And I'm just going to remind everybody and kind of encourage everybody all day long here, all morning long. What's your reaction to that? I mean, yes, there's the assessment of what you think's going to happen and the predictions. But when you heard that news, how did you feel? Now that you've had time to think about it and process it, because it popped up. I think I first saw the headline, 4 o'clock or something like that yesterday afternoon is when I saw it. How do you feel now that you've had time to think about it? So 314-912-1019, or you can, hit us up on Facebook. I'll watch the Rumble chat box, but I want to get your perspective in this because Susie's going to have a perspective on it from an attorney's perspective. Obviously, me as the media guy and former political guy, and Stell, you being probably the closest thing to the everyman in the studio here.
That's my middle name.
That's right, because I've been in media for so long, so a lot of different perspectives. But the important perspective is yours. So 314-912-1019. We'll talk about that throughout the morning, in and out of other news that's happening, because other things are happening. Like, for instance, did you know a local prosecuting attorney up and quit yesterday?
No.
Yeah. Just days before he faces a hearing connected to his own arrest. I'll tell you who and what that's all about. And the Cardinals lose a wild but entertaining opening day game. I hate to see that the Cardinals lost, but man, that was a wild game.
That was a fun game to watch. Whether you were there or not, it was fun.
Absolutely. That was a lot of fun to watch, even though, the good guys came out a little short on that. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Okay, so as you would expect, the reaction to the indictment of Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay, so it ranges from outrage to comments of like vindication almost. Town Hall's Greg Cluxton has the story.
The reactions range from outrage to vindication. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy denounced the Manhattan DA, claiming Alvin Bragg has weaponized our sacred system of justice. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Trump is subject to the same laws as every American. Meanwhile, Trump himself said he was completely innocent and called the indictment political persecution.
Okay, the district attorney's office, the Secret Service, and Trump's team are now working out an agreement for him to surrender for an arrest and for booking. And the indictment itself is under seal, so we don't yet know for sure what the charges specifically are, but we do have a few details that we'll get to you as much as we can. Here we go.
Supposedly 34.
That's what I've been told as well.
I can't imagine where they came up with 34, but I guess we'll find out.
We will, a little bit later on, I will tell you how they came up with that number, if that is the number. Actually, Donald Trump's lawyer has a theory on that, and so we'll hear from him as well. Okay, get this. St. Charles County prosecuting attorney Tim Lomar quits.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that announcement came Thursday. Lomar says he's going into private practice.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah. There was no indication that was going to happen, but keep in mind, he was arrested last July in Miller County on suspicion of DWI. He's not been charged in that case yet, but there is a hearing on that situation scheduled for Monday, so the timing is there. That's what's going on there. Okay, the White House continues to exploit the Nashville attack on a Christian school that we just heard from Daryl Jones about that a few minutes ago. They're seizing on that to push more gun control legislation and demand it. Here's Karina Jean-Pierre.
Doing nothing when guns are the leading killer of our kids in America is absolutely unacceptable. We need to pass an assault weapons ban, mandate universal background checks, require safe storage of guns, hold manufacturers accountable.
I would respect her statements on things like this a lot more if she were just more honest and said, we just need to eradicate the Second Amendment and erase it from the Constitution.
You might as well, because otherwise we have to eliminate cars and knives and all sorts of other killing utensils.
Exactly. All right, just a quick heads up. Keep an eye on the weather. Seriously, we could be in for severe storms later on today. Expect some heavy storms, possible hail. There may be a tornado watch or a warning as well. So actually, this storm's actually going to be a doozy, it looks like.
I've seen some storm chasers who are very concerned.
Yeah. All right. The Cardinals had the lead 3 times, but couldn't hold on. They lose their opening day slugfest with the Blue Jays. Final score was 10-9. Blues won last night in Chicago. Final score there was 5-3. The Blues, by the way, have won 6 of their last 8 games. Interesting.
Even in these uncertain times, Missouri lawyers are here to help. If your income has been impacted by the current global crisis, or if you qualify as a low-income household, you can have your legal questions answered for free at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. You can ask up to 5 questions, and they'll be answered by a lawyer licensed in Missouri at no cost to you. Missouri lawyers want you to know you are not alone. Get free answers to your legal questions at missouri.freelegalanswers.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Bar.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
Columbo and Katie.
We certainly appreciate always Mark Lauder's time.
The weaponization of government is real. And it's a concern among conservatives. They are seeing it. I mean, go back to mask mandates and no parties allowed over more than 4 people, except for Democrat governors in California and others who can go off and have their little fine dining parties without masks. I mean, it's rules for thee, not for me.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Hi, Jen Wallner here. As a former foster child myself, I have always been an advocate for foster children in our community. Angels Arms is an amazing organization that provides a stable, nurturing, and loving family environment for these children. They ensure these children have not only the childhood they deserve, but the resources needed to become successful, thriving adults. I truly believe that this organization is transforming lives, and I could not be more proud to be a small part of that accomplishment. For more information or to get involved, visit angelsarms.org.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Former President Trump calls his indictment by a New York grand jury political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. The indictment just happens to come as Mr. Trump seeks re-election.
The unprecedented legal action means that Donald Trump is the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges. Despite the charges, he is not prevented from running for another term in the White House. Trump has denied any wrongdoing, has repeatedly assailed the investigation, and calls the indictment political persecution. The former president is expected to surrender early next week in New York, where he would be photographed and fingerprinted. Greg Clugston reporting.
And Republicans, even some who are not necessarily on board the Trump train, have been quick to condemn the indictment. Senator Lindsey Graham says it's abundantly clear this is all about politics.
I know voodoo's legal in New York, but this is legal voodoo. You got a misdemeanor that's been made a felony. Nobody in the history of New York City has ever been prosecuted under this theory except for Donald J. Trump.
Graham speaking with the Fox News Channel's Hannity, calling the Manhattan DA's case against Mr. Trump un-American. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he will not cooperate with any extradition request. Quoting him, the weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. With a handful of Democrat votes, House Republicans have passed their comprehensive energy plan. It places a heavy emphasis on restoring American energy independence. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer says the bill dead on arrival in the upper house. Weather heads up this morning for people across parts of the Midwest and the South. The National Weather Service warning of a possible outbreak of severe thunderstorms, unleashing hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here. Sue and I mean it when we say dogs are part of our family. We love Otto and Snoopy so much, and there's nothing like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens, R-U-F-F, because we want them to feel healthy and be with us as long as possible. I know Charlie Kirk feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. I rely on my trusted furry friend, Mr. Briggs, who's an absolute machine, and he relies on me to provide what's best for him. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens, not a dog food, but a supplement full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, and omega oils that Mr. Briggs absolutely needs and loves. Trying Rough Greens for your dog just makes sense.
Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here. I'm honored that the Pragers and Charlie trust their dog's health to Rough Green. I'm so confident that Rough Greens can help your dog too that I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, dog food is dead food, but it doesn't have to be. Go to ruffgreens.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow. So we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
Nothing is more important than our precious children, and I will do everything in my power to protect them. Hi, my name's Jane Pushkar, and I'm running for the Francis House School Board. The local NEA supports candidates that further their agenda: critical race theory, sexual indoctrination, and social emotional learning. Don't let it happen. Let's take back our schools. By getting back to basics, supporting our dedicated teachers and parental rights, we can return common sense to the school board. Vote for conservative Jane Pushkar on April the 4th. Paid for by Friends of Jane Pushkar, Ron Pushkar, Treasurer.
Adam, man, your aunt parties are the best. I mean, you always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It's Friday!
And I need a Friday. I need a weekend at this point.
Yeah.
What a heavy
an actual
week.
Weekend.
Yeah, heavy week this has been.
It's been very heavy.
I'm later on tonight. I'm getting in my ark. I am going to float down, wherever I want to go in St. Louis, because those storms look like they're pretty big coming in.
They do. They look a little yuck.
But we've also got the soon-to-be unsealed indictment to the Biden administration's continued assault on the economy, much less the Second Amendment, and then the left's push for more gun control as well. I guess we're going to have plenty to talk about going into the weekend here.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. 6:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Susie Moore once again in for Gabe Pfeiffer. Stel Ponticus is here. And yes, we're going to go into more depth of what we know about the Trump indictment at 6:20, although I'm sure we're going to chat about it here in just a minute as well. But we're really going to dive in. And so here's my encouragement. 314-912-1019. Let us know how you feel about it. I mean, when you heard the news or now that you've had time to kind of marinate on it, tell me what you think about it. You can comment in the Rumble chat box, but I'd rather just have you call 314-912-1019 starting around 6:20. Let's do that, and we'll get into that because there's some things we know. There's a lot that we don't know, and you can speculate all you want, but I think it's one of those things where everybody, left, right, or other, can sit back and go, yeah, we know what's going on here. I think is what we could guess, surmise from that.
Well, honest brokers anyway.
Yeah. Maybe somebody out there takes it seriously. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Every Saturday at noon, we've got the pleasure of having Paul Kurtman on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. He joins us right now. All right. First, let's get your reaction to that, Paul. The news comes out yesterday, and I know it was mid-Cardinals game when I first saw the headlines pop up on my phone, and I went, oh, I'd better get on. No, I'm watching the game. I'll deal with it later, and that's when I started reading up on it after that. But you get the news, the multi-count indictments coming for Donald Trump. We don't know what the charges are, specifically how many. But what was your first gut reaction when you heard that, Paul?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Good morning, Susie. My first gut reaction was finally. And I don't mean that in the way like, hey, finally we're going after Trump. I mean, finally in the way, like here, this DA has been talking about this and working on this now for such a great length of time. Just over the last couple weeks, he has continued to stall, and then stall some more, probably because he had to revisit his game plan and probably tried to even come up with some more charges or something else because of that letter that was released not too long ago that basically absolved Trump from many secret payoff of Stormy Daniels. My gut reaction was finally they're actually going to make this move and hopefully seal their own fate, because this has got to be the stupidest, dumbest thing for the Democrats, anybody in the Democrat Party to want to do, thinking that they're going to take down Trump. And what is crazy about all of this, Mike, is they think they're going to be able to ride this all the way into a 2024 victory. And if they've just at least been watching the polls, they should be able to see that more people are falling in line behind Trump faster than they even were in 2016, because this is just them clearly painting a picture of corruption and political weaponization of our justice system. Meanwhile, the same DA and other DAs just like him around the country are turning criminals free, letting murderers go, and they're absolutely wreaking mayhem across our cities, across the rest of the country. But not for Donald Trump. No. For Donald Trump, because he might have paid somebody off, because we've had to dig and try to connect as many dots that maybe don't even exist. And if they don't, we'll try to shade some of them in and then connect those two. And the American people see it. And so I think the American people are feeling much like I'm feeling. And that is that, these people continue to expose themselves for the corrupt players that they actually are. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see even independents begin to roll back in line behind Donald Trump like they did in 2016, because just like in 2016, they were sick and tired of the Clintons, so they went for Donald Trump because he was standing up. And now they're sick and tired of all the corruption that the Democrats are clearly putting out on display for the whole world to see. And in spite of all of Donald Trump's failures and successes, and in spite of the way he is, where people say, well, I just wish he wouldn't call people names, I think all that stuff is going to start meaning very little again as this begins to proceed. And, kudos to Ron DeSantis for saying that the state of Florida is not going to in any way help facilitate any type of extradition of Donald Trump. And I wouldn't be surprised if other Republican governors start saying the same thing. And Donald Trump runs a presidential campaign where he's only flying from one Republican state to the other, and he still wins.
Paul, it's a little ironic, I think, that the first impeachment of Donald Trump had to do with his discussions with Ukraine about potentially looking into the Bidens. And the big argument there was this was so inappropriate because that was a would-be political opponent. And so he was abusing the office to investigate, who he anticipated would be his political opponent. Here we have an actual indictment of questionable legal grounds against somebody who's already announced to run for the presidency. Going forward, are we going to see sort of just a circular, like, oh, the next person comes up, so they're going to get indicted, kind of like the Illinois governors? I mean, is that what we're going to see, do you think?
I think so. And it's really sad that we've come to this point in America, and we've seen this happen in other countries. This is a characteristic and a key attribute of third world countries. And we have devolved to the place where the system is not being used for the benefit of the people, but the system is now being used for the sole benefit of whatever party is in charge. We have seen this throughout the 1900s. We have seen this in third world countries in South America and in Africa and in Asia. And since 2016, not that it hasn't happened before in America, but at least before in America, nobody wanted to know. They tried to do it quietly and secretly, and there's a little bit of shame involved in that. You didn't want to get caught and get busted, because if you were, you would wind up throwing a peace signal as you left the White House saying, I'm not a crook, And so people didn't want to be seen doing this. They didn't even want to be associated with it. But now things are different. Things are totally different. It is on full display, and the media is complicit with it. That's another characteristic that you see in third world or less than developed nations. where this type of corruption, people are buying into it because the media is helping them buy into it. If you watch the series Narcos on Netflix, you see the rise of Pablo Escobar, right? And how does he get his rise to power? He gets his rise to power because he has people in the media that are literally helping script everything for him because he's paying them off, because he has made them part of the power base. And so you see our parties in America being corrupt and using our system not for the benefit of the people, but to punish people in other parties. That way they can cement their footholds in the White House or in Congress or whatever the case is. I don't know if there's ever any going back from this once we get to this point, Susie.
So, Paul, I had three things that hit me quickly yesterday afternoon when I heard this. Number one is I was thinking it was going to be next week, and it wasn't. Number two, the two words that you didn't use, but I'm going to toss them in there right now, Banana Republic, because I think that's what we have become. And the third one is I thought maybe lawyer Robert Costello's appearance before the grand jury would have changed things. And maybe it did push it back a few days, and they tried to work around whatever Costello shared with them. But that kind of surprised me that didn't wind up making them totally change their mind, and here we are with the indictment.
Yeah, Stell, you hit on something really good. When you see this type of thing happening, where they're just weaponizing the system, these are not people who are interested in the truth. The truth is not the answer. The truth is an obstacle, and they're going to find their way around it and still get what it is that they want. And the second thing is, I thought about using the word Banana Republic, but usually when I use the word banana, I say Nana these days. And so I was just kind of afraid that I would say Nana Republic. And
that's somebody who's a father of young children. That's yeah. Man. All right, Paul Kerman, I'm sure this is going to be, some of this will be on this weekend show. But also, real quick, give me your thoughts on the White House. I'm shifting gears just a little bit. We're going to come back to the Trump indictment situation here after this just awful situation in Nashville where a mad, crazy woman goes in to hunt down people at a Christian school. And the reaction from the left has been, we demand more gun control, and the victims here include the so-called trans community because they're scared people are mad at them.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to convince people to be mad at you, probably the first thing you should do is get a bunch of your trans activists and storm the Tennessee state capitol to the point where the police have to get involved and push back what turns into a mob and a riot. I think this is absolutely crazy. I mean, here we have children dead, and you have a community saying that they're the victim. And nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, here we have children, and not just children, but teachers, the people that are dedicating their life to helping raise these kids in a good educational environment and give them something that they can carry forward for the rest of their lives. And, the trans community is saying that they're the victims. I think it's appalling. And but it's just what we see from the left. It's all about victimhood. Even when you're clearly not the victim, they always find a way to say, no, we are the victim. And that's just a staple feature of the left. It doesn't matter what the issue is. They take ground by claiming victimhood, not by actually claiming victory.
All right, Paul, what's coming up on the Paul Kurtman Show on Saturday at noon?
Yeah, well, man, you got a little bit preview when you asked me about this whole Trump indictment, but we're going to be continuing to unpack that. How does this play out between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump? How do other governors and how are the other candidates? How's everybody going to continue to talk about this and work with this? What's it going to be like to campaign with a guy who's facing extradition charges if he actually doesn't get arrested? So there's just a lot to be looking at, and we're going to be talking about that, me and Ken Williams.
All right, noon on Saturday right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Hey, Paul, appreciate it. We'll be listening to the show.
Thanks, guys.
All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead, we got the basics of what we actually know about the indictment, which isn't a whole lot. And, Susie, I'll have you kind of explain why we don't really know. It's still under seal. What does all of that mean? Just so people understand what to look for when the news does come out. And then, it is interesting with the extradition sort of thing. It doesn't look like that's going to be a process that's going to be used, but we'll talk about that because Ron DeSantis has already said what his take is on the whole situation as well. So we've got that, and your thoughts as well. 314-912-1019 right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God. Get up.
This is Cardinal Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. Saturday, April 15th is Jackie Robinson Day. Join us at Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the Pirates. In honor of Robinson's impact on Major League Baseball, that day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will receive a Cardinals cap saluting him and his historic career. That's Saturday, April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day at the ballpark. Great seats remain. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
St. Louis. This your favorite artist, Seals. Meet me at the ballpark Saturday, April 15th for African American Heritage Day, presented by your quality Ford dealers. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, fans will take home an exclusive t-shirt designed by me. Come early for a pregame Heritage celebration in the Budweiser Terrace. That's Saturday, April 15th. More info at cardinals.com/theme. Ski!
This is Jack Flaherty. See you at the ballpark.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
It's Proctor spelled like doctor for custom window fabrics and shutters. Upgrade or start from scratch. Either way, Michael is the St. Louis expert. Check him out at proctordrapery.com and then call Proctor spelled like doctor for shutters, shades, and draperies.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. I have an old lady confession to make. I don't use TikTok. I don't really use Snapchat either. It's just not instinctive for me. TikTok's instinctive, but I had reservations about the app early on that appear to be well-founded. Not that I've never seen a TikTok video, of course I have, but I don't have the app on my phone and I don't want it there, particularly not given its connection to the CCP and the degree to which it appears to data mine. And I say that while realizing that's all most social media platforms and apps do in one way or another. The reason they're free is because by using them, we're providing them with valuable information that can be converted into revenue. I do realize that very little we do these days, certainly in the online or digital realm, isn't spied upon in one way or another. But there's a push in the halls of government to boot the popular app, not just off government devices, which makes absolute sense in my opinion, but from use in the U.S. altogether. Senator Josh Hawley has called for such a ban, though his most recent effort was blocked by fellow Republican Rand Paul over constitutional concerns. I guess I can see both sides of that argument, but I think for now I come down on the side of Senator Paul.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's Stifel.com.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, what's next after the Trump indictment? 314-912-1019. Man, Paul Kurtman's worked up over it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he's alone in that.
No, there's a lot of people who are. So love to get your thoughts. 314-912-1019. We're going to keep an eye on the Facebook comments. I'm going to watch the Rumble chat box here. Let me know what you think. All right, Greg Clugston from Town Hall gives us kind of the primer, kind of the basic.
Donald Trump has been indicted by a Manhattan grand jury as the former president seeks re-election and denies any wrongdoing. The specific charges are not yet known, but they stem from payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign to silence claims of an extramarital sexual encounter. Trump called the indictment political persecution, and his lawyers vowed to vigorously fight the charges. Prosecutors said they were working to coordinate Trump's surrender, which could happen early next week. Greg Clugston reporting.
Okay, so one thing, for instance, people are asking Ron DeSantis about the extradition. Ron DeSantis says this is a stupid political prosecution. He will not assist in an extradition, but it doesn't look like it's going to come to that. They are negotiating. All sides are saying they're negotiating out the timing of him surrendering. So he is going to show in person. They wanted to allow, I guess, his attorneys to show up and do the paperwork and do the plead, but the district attorney is insisting that Donald Trump be there in person. So they're working out when he's going to be there. But he's going to arrive. He's going to be booked. He's going to get a mugshot. All of that's going to happen. The indictment, we don't know exactly how many counts. We don't know exactly what the charge is because it's still under seal. So we know he's been indicted, but it's quote unquote under seal. What does that mean?
Yeah, we know the grand jury has voted to indict him. When it under seal just means that it hasn't been publicly released yet, and that's how they handle a lot of times when a grand jury is involved before they proceed with the prosecution. It's particularly, I guess, in a sort of sensitive or high profile type situation, it remains under seal until the prosecutor determines that they're going to say, okay, announce formally, here's what the charges are. We've been left to guess these past couple of weeks about what that was going to be in relation to, and the only realistic speculation is that it all kind of centers around the hush money that was paid to Stormy Daniels and the mischaracterization of that in the business records, yada yada yada.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see when it is unsealed. It'll be a several-page document, and it'll be set out in different counts, and a lot of it'll probably look repetitive because that's how they break it down. It'll be kind of technical almost, but obviously we'll be looking closely at that when they do.
Yeah, later and in the 7 o'clock hour, I've actually got a little bit of a sound clip from Sean Hannity's show last night where Joe Tacopina, who is Donald Trump's lawyer in this particular case, his theory is that every single check that was issued would be a separate count. So we've heard published reports that say 30 plus counts. I've heard 32, I've heard 34. So if you say, well, how could it be that many? So that is what it would be, is like each separate check, and maybe each process of the check would be a separate count. At least that's how they would be framing it.
Exactly. So sometimes people see a number like that and they think it sounds so huge, but really it's all involving the same thing. It's just broken down into little bite-sized pieces, if you will.
But the bottom line is, with all the legal wrangling and everything, this is political. I mean, you don't have to be a Trump supporter to go, yeah, I see this for what it is.
You don't. Now, if you're a Trump, a devout Trump hater, you probably don't care one way or the other. But if you can see past that, you probably recognize that, yeah, this is political and maybe not the best use of our justice system.
Well, something interesting that Paul and you were talking about just a little bit ago is basically, is this where we are now? Where if you win, then you've got a weapon in the district attorney, you've got a weapon maybe in your federal prosecutors, you've got a weapon in all of these other things. And so does that mean that when the Republicans win, when they have control, that, hey, you know what, go get those Democrats. Democrats win, go get those Republicans. And I think you and Paul might be right. That might be where we are. And in addition to that being an absolute abuse of a crucial part of our system, the court system, the criminal justice system, the judicial system, in addition to one of those foundations of a republic being crumbling because of that, you also have the additional, I would say unintended consequence, but probably intended consequence of good people saying, why would I bother getting involved in public office if I know that just running for office means that I could be subject and my family could be subject to investigations and charges that may have nothing to do with actual criminal infractions, my actual criminal behavior. Just being out there means that the other side has the police and prosecutors, and we're going to use them to go after us.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably already see that. Yeah. I mean, how often have you talked to someone and people have been saying, oh, you should run for office, and they say, yeah,
why would I put my family through that?
Why would I want to do that? And it may be because they've got things that they would rather not have, publicly disclosed, or it could just because they don't want to go through that. Yeah. And yeah, I think that does have a deterrent effect. So then who does get involved? Either people who think that they're not going to get caught for being bad, or people that, the one thing you can say about Donald Trump is he's shameless. And
Yeah.
I'm not
Yep.
saying that as a negative thing. Actually, it's worked for him because he is. You really can't shame him. A lot of stuff that would have brought down other people has kind of rolled off him.
Yeah, because I thought about that exact same thing. I mean, is the tactic here to remind the Republican voter base that Donald Trump's not exactly a morally upstanding man? We've known
Get
that.
out, really?
We've known that for decades.
That's been baked in the cake.
He's never hidden that he's not the most fidelity based guy out there when it comes to marriage and his wives, and we know what his morals are. We've known that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if this is supposed to be about character, I think that's a lost cause. Everyone. I mean, he's probably one of the most well-known people in the world, and he's lived his life in the public for 40 years almost. So there's no mystery there,
right? And
it's just a matter of whether some people can't get past the character part of it, so it doesn't matter what his policies are. And a lot of people are like, look, regardless of his character, I like his policies. I agree with him. I think he's being treated unfairly here. So it is going to be interesting to see, how do things look different in 2024 as the race shapes up versus 2020?
Yeah, I mean, is somebody suddenly going to say, "Okay, that's it, I'm done"? Now no, nobody's. I don't think. I mean, I think
you may have people saying that about Joe Biden if he's the candidate. He may not be able to amass 81 million votes this time around.
Oh man, 314-912-1019. I mean, it's not like
allegedly.
Yeah, I mean this isn't going to be something that if that's the tactic, people aren't going to suddenly go, "I didn't know that about Donald Trump." Yeah, you did. We all knew. You made your informed voting decisions in 2016 and whoever you voted for in 2020, knowing exactly who you were voting for. Yeah. So this isn't new information.
And we're not electing a pastor; we're electing a president.
Right, which is the way a lot of people look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Republican voter base has changed on that. I mean, in a huge way over the past generation to generation and a half, generation being 20 years or so. That used to be that there were those kind of standards, and then now that's not really the case anymore. So that's, Donald Trump governed more conservatively than I think a lot of people expected, including me. His judicial picks were stellar. That's what a lot of people are looking at. Do I have disagreements with him? Yep. I don't like the way he used taxes. I don't like the way he used tariffs. I don't like the COVID spending. There were things I disagree with everybody. There's things I disagree with Ron DeSantis on.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of disagreements. But when it comes to putting back in the spotlight that Donald Trump paid off Stormy Daniels after whatever happened between those two, we've known that. We've known it for a long time.
There used to be this thing about, it's a binary choice. By the time you get down to the presidential general election, you're choosing between two, regardless. And people, I resisted that. No, it's not a binary choice. I don't have to choose one or the other. I don't have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, I don't know anymore if I feel like I have the luxury of that, given the impact whoever is in the Oval Office is having on our world.
Now, I will say in this area right here, we might be one of the few areas in the country that do, just for the simple reason that whoever the Republicans nominate is going to win the state of Missouri by 8, 10, 12 points. Whoever the Democrats nominate is going to win the state of Illinois by 5, 6 points.
Well, that's
or more.
true, too.
Yeah. Now, other states maybe don't have that luxury, but it's you can make a case for that could be here just based on state-by-state running. All right, just ahead here, let's delve into the legal side of this a little bit more. Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation is going to be with us at 6:35 right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow, so we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
The flow of information.
This week on News Talk STL.
Take a look at what's going on.
To get to the bottom.
News, analysis, opinion.
What is currently happening? A ban is only a short-term way to address TikTok.
An indictment.
So many investigations, so many allegations.
Inflation remains too high, and the labor market continues to be very tight.
And the U.S. banking system remains sound.
101.9 and 94.1.
If any of these bills make it to my desk,
ESG, I will veto them. News Talk STL.
When it comes to your family's needs in real estate, you're buying a home, you're selling a home, maybe you're investing in a property, make sure that you've got people who are passionate about taking care of you and your family, and that's Rodney and Jen. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. And when you listen to all of the supposed economic experts on cable TV news and everything, all they want to do is scare people because that's what drives ratings. Listen, our economy is definitely in a tenuous position, but that actually for some people creates opportunities. And for a lot of other people, we should still just make the decisions that's right for you and just keep moving forward. What's right for you? I don't know, but Rodney and Jen will. Call them at 314-810-SOLD. Here's my challenge. And I'm telling you, every time I talk to Rodney and Jen, I'm just kind of just blown away that there are still people in such a competitive industry like real estate who are that down to earth and who focus so much simply on what their clients need. Listen, the first time I talked to them about the property that my wife and I want to buy, what we want to do, our goals, the first thing they said is, Mike, hang on a second. Wait just a little bit. Here's how the market's likely to change. You're probably going to be better off. Well, for a real estate agent, that is something that, frankly, is taking money right out of their pocket. But all they were worried about is doing what's right and giving the right advice for me and my wife. That's what they're going to do for you. Now, they may say, hey, now's when you pounce. Matter of fact, if you're ready to sell your house, listen, they've got so many pre-approved buyers, they're going to guarantee that you're going to get an offer. 314-810-SOLD. But either way, give them a call, 314-810-SOLD, once again, and just ask their advice. Say, here's my situation. What do you think? They're not going to make you sign a contract to have a couple of phone conversations. And if you, for whatever reason, want to move on with somebody else, which you're not going to once you work with them, they'll let you out of the contract. Listen, give them a call. Do what I do. When I need advice on anything real estate related, I call Rodney and Jen Walder at 314-810-SOLD. Once again, 314-810-SOLD.
Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft here to start the show with us.
You know, you can say all you want about we want to have local control. Kim Gardner has lost control. The locals, the people, have lost control, and they are scared and being preyed upon by the criminal element. We get local control when we have law enforcement and prosecutors that will protect the people of this state and this city.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Colombo and Katie.
It's official. Donald Trump has been indicted by the Manhattan DA. We'll get you the latest details on Friday. Plus, we'll get you ready for the weekend with the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton at 2:45.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson, The Morning Show, here on News Talk STL.
Okay, even though the Cardinals lost, opening day did not disappoint in St. Louis. Man, that was a lot of fun. We're going to review not just the game, but the whole big day right around 6:50, even though I have the sads. Cardinals lost, but man, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Great weather, great game.
Oh, yeah, it was perfect. It was just a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun. All right, it is 6:37 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Susie Moore from redstate.com in the studio with me, and Stel Ponticus. Obviously, the major headline news dominating all the conversations right now. Donald Trump has been indicted, and as we speak at this point, we don't know a lot of the details yet because the indictment is still under seal and there are still things in the process to work out. Now, we're fortunate enough to have Susie, who is an attorney, here with us right now, but we're also joined by Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation as well. And Mike, normally in an ideal situation, we try to separate out the criminal justice process, the judicial process, the court process from politics, but that doesn't look like what's happening right now.
Right. Good morning. And it's sad that opening day, what is normally a great day in our country, where it was ruined yesterday with this absurd, ridiculous news of the indictment, this indictment of President Trump. I mean, look, let's step back for a second. Let's talk about the role of the prosecutor here and the position of responsibility that prosecutors across this country have. And the role of the prosecutor, they have a special responsibility to dispassionately and objectively prosecute crimes and to exercise what is known as prosecutorial discretion, right? And what is this to do? This is to guard against mob rule and to guard against the politicization. We have elevated in our country. We used to have mob rule, vigilantism. We had rulers by kings. We've evolved beyond that, and that's one of the miracles of our democracy and a miracle of the United States of America, that we've said, no, we're going to separate our politics from our criminal justice system. We're going to say that politics, that those who wield the power to prosecute, that those who wield the power of the criminal justice system, and it's an immense power. Look at it. Look at the power that the police have. Look at the power that the prosecutors in our local jurisdictions have, that federal prosecutors have, that the Department of Justice has. And we've separated that out, and we've enjoyed this amazing miracle that is the United States of America, partly because of that. Well, those days are over, and that's what's the tragedy of it. Let's just look, just a few things that we can pop off the top of our heads that have occurred within the past few years that have happened. It started with Obama targeting using his Internal Revenue Service to target exempt organizations, right? We have the FBI concocting the Steele dossier as a pretext to investigate President Trump. We have the Twitter files, which we're hearing all of this. We're hearing how the FBI and the deep state have worked together with big tech to suppress politically inconvenient stories. We have the Department of Justice prosecuting those individuals, those noble individuals who are exercising their freedom of religion and protesting outside of abortion clinics. We have the DOJ ignoring the individuals who are bombing pregnancy centers. You have DOJ and the FBI investigating parents who are attending school board meetings. You have the prosecutors, the Department of Justice, withholding exculpatory evidence for individuals who participated in the January 6th protests. I mean, it just doesn't end. And now what do? We cross the Rubicon now. We engage in the ultimate. We indict a former president on the very basis, thinnest of legal pretexts. We are using the power of the prosecutors to attack political opponents. And it's just a sad, tragic day for America.
Mike, you mentioned, the power of the prosecutors, and something that's kind of been lost maybe in the past day or so is the fact that there are other investigations, criminal investigations going on concurrently regarding President Trump, in Georgia, regarding the election there in 2020. And I mean, do we know any more about they had a grand jury. We know that. We know their grand jury finished their work because the one juror decided to go on the media tour afterwards, which is ill-advised. But I mean, do we know it? Do you have a sense of whether we're going to hear any more about what's going on in Georgia?
I don't. I do see that. I did read an article this morning just that the timing of the Georgia investigation, however you want to term it, is not going to be affected by this. But I mean, we don't have to have. Look, I was watching Jonathan Hurley yesterday, and he made an interesting comment on this. And he said, "Look, the investigations in Georgia, the investigation regarding Mar-a-Lago, those prosecutors don't have to talk to each other. They're doing it in the public. So the Georgia folks know exactly the timing of the DA Bragg's pending indictment here. So I don't think that I don't think they're coordinating per se. I do think that they're watching the news and they're going to say, okay, we're going to hold this back. I mean, look, I'm speculating here, but politics is clearly entered into the equation here. These folks aren't operating dispassionately. They're not operating within the bounds of traditional prosecutorial discretion. So again, this is just me making a hypothetical here, or me trying to guess this. I think I wouldn't put it past the folks in Georgia to drop this at the most politically inconvenient time, whatever that means to be going forward. If it means that somehow that this indictment is thrown out by a judge early on, then the Georgia folks will drop it in shortly thereafter, or whatever the most politically inconvenient timing of it is. I would guess that that's when it's going to occur. Because look, this is as I was saying before, this is the use of the tools of our criminal justice system to attack the political opponents by the left, of course, right? We see this by the left. We don't see this on our side, right? We see what happened in Tennessee yesterday. Did you see that the folks, the left, absolutely disrupted the Tennessee legislature session, stormed into the Tennessee legislature, took the bull with a bullhorn, cast aside the legislators on the Tennessee floor, and started screaming and yelling protests. Well, are any of those folks going to get prosecuted? Are any of those folks going to be indicted? Are any of those folks going to be investigated like the facts of the J6 folks? Probably not. So we see that this politics has imbued everything, and so I assume that that's going to be probably the controlling factor of those investigations.
We're visiting with Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation, and Mike, I haven't heard anybody who actually, even on the left, who thinks that there's going to be an imprisonment of Donald Trump or anything like that. I think everybody looks at it for what it is, for the politics of it. But when you factor in everything that you've just kind of put in, we've got literally the House of Representatives looking into the weaponization of everything from the DOJ to local prosecutors. What are some of the effects, not just on politics, because that can be boiled down to left versus right, but what could this threaten when it comes to societally in our country if we weaponize these foundations of our republic?
Well, first of all, loss of faith, right? I mean, this is what you have. You lose faith. I mean, and even now, even today, after all that stuff I've listened to you, I still instinctually believe that prosecutors and that the police are doing the right thing. I believe the prosecutors are doing the right thing. And my initial inclination, and I think I'm joined with by probably a lot of Americans, is that when a prosecutor says, look, we've amassed evidence and that it looks like this individual has committed this crime, my inclination is to side with the prosecutor and say, well, that person probably did do that. There's a reason why the prosecutor's acting that. Clearly, the prosecutor's acting in good faith. Well, my personal, and I would venture to say that I speak for a lot of Americans here, my personal faith in those individuals, in the individuals that hold these immense positions of responsibility in our society, has been irrevocably damaged. I'm not going to look at law enforcement personnel the same way. I'm not going to look at prosecutors particularly. I mean, let's say police. There's millions of police. And again, I shouldn't really say this, but again, prosecutors. I'm not trying to say that the prosecutors are all bad. They're great Americans and they're doing God's work, keeping us safe. But my faith in them is going to be eroded and is damaged. And I think that's a real sad testament to our country right now, that these individuals that hold these positions, then I'm going to have to look at them, federal prosecutors, state prosecutors, prosecutors in the city, particularly Soros-funded prosecutors. Every time I look at them, I'm going to say, I'm going to have to question that faith is damaged. Also, I think this is the first time this has ever been done. You're indicting the president, a former president of the United States, under the thinnest of legal pretenses here. So now you're going to see this, that Rubicon has been crossed. That means that it's been used. If that was enough to indict President Trump, then it's going to be enough to indict President Smith 20 years from now. So I think that that's a real damage to our country. And I think this kind of puts us down, this casts us down into the banana republics, into those third world democracies that the United States has been above for so many centuries.
Mike, I think it was last night that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi came out with a tweet.
Right,
and in it, she talked about the fact that, she tried to be very even-handed. I will say that it was a very measured tweet, but she talked about, Trump having the ability to prove his innocence.
Sure.
And I thought,
is that how it works?
Yeah, that seems like it's upside down. Am I missing something?
Did they change the rules on that?
No. I think that's the perspective she operates under. I mean, correct. Trump is guilty until he's proven innocent, and that's what they've believed forever. Right? At every single term, Trump is guilty until he's proven his innocence. And of course, we all know that at any. It's sad. It's scary that the former Speaker of the House, the person who was third in line to being the chief executive of our country, doesn't appear to understand that the burden of proof is on the prosecution and that you are presumed innocent until proven guilty, of course, what you're saying. But I think the Trump hatred has burned through to those folks that he is guilty until he has proven himself innocent. And they've been, again, what did I say at the beginning here? From the get-go, the moment he rode down on that elevator all those years ago, that there was a committed faction in this country, the left and folks in power, wielding power at the deep state, have been utterly committed to putting this man behind bars and putting him in jail. No matter what they had to do, no matter what damage they had to do to our country, that is what was going to occur. And I think that just came through with a proven innocence kind of tweet.
All right, Michael Neal from Landmark Legal Foundation. We follow your work there at Landmark. How?
Just go to landmarklegal.org. You can see some of the stuff we worked on. I've been on with you guys before, talked about some of our projects. So just take a look at landmarklegal.org. We didn't even get into the nuts and bolts of the indictment itself, of what the indictment's going to look about. But I'd be happy to talk about that in the future with you guys as the details come out.
Yeah, definitely, because it's still under seal, and I guess the process, we might get a look at it this coming week, maybe.
I hope sooner rather than later, right? Sunshine is the best disinfectant, and I think that this needs to be the indictment needs to come out, and so we need to be able to process it and take a look at it. As far as we know, as I said before, from what the public can discern from the record, it looks incredibly weak, and it would be even if a favorable jury in New York City managed to find some sort of guilt there, I don't think it would be upheld on appeal, as you said earlier.
All right, Michael Neal, Landmark Legal. Hey, appreciate you being on the show. Have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot. You guys do too.
Thanks.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, just ahead here. Opening day. You know what? Let's take a breather here. We're definitely got plenty of time to come back to the ramifications of the Trump indictment. Also at 7:05, Ann Dorn.
Oh, yay.
She's going to be with us as well. There's a pretty cool trivia night. Everybody loves a good trivia night,
Absolutely.
but it's to support the men and women of our first responders. But just ahead, what a great opening day in St. Louis. All except for one thing.
Well, yeah.
You know,
minor detail.
Cardinals lost. But it was a great opening day. Including a surprise singing performance.
That was interesting.
And what a lot of people are looking at as the future of the Cardinals, giving his first impression of St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's all still ahead right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Latest news.
150 million American users on TikTok.
They can make you believe things that are not true.
Your platform should be banned.
An indictment. Your all-time favorite president, me.
Political prosecution's more about revenge.
The news you need to know.
Inflation remains too high, and the labor market continues to be very tight.
If any of these bills make it to my desk, I will veto them.
These people are aiding and abetting the enemy. They're morons.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Right now, if you go to my house, well, I say right now, but in about an hour, you very well could see a truck from Anton's Plumbing and HVAC in front of my house. So here's the thing is my wife and I needed a HVAC system for the upstairs of our house. We got a nice house. We're in Richmond Heights, and it's built in 1926. And up until just this past summer, we relied on window units in a 1926 brick house trying to keep us cool. Spoiler, it didn't work. Oh my goodness. When it got really ugly, I'm talking heat and humidity, we were absolutely miserable. So I called Anton's Plumbing and HVAC at 314-338-3941. They came in, took a look at the situation, and they installed that central heating and air conditioning unit in our house. Whisper quiet. We now have the perfect settings and temperatures in our house year around. We could not be happier. So when it came time to need to do a lot of plumbing in our house, and I'm talking pull out the whole stack, the entire thing had to go, I already trusted Anton's. So I called them once again, 314-338-3941, and had them come out and do the plumbing, and they're actually handling all the plumbing for the renovation of a bathroom that we have going on right now. So if you go by my house, you're going to see the Anton's truck, and that's what they're working on because they did such a great job. So if you give them a call, once again, 314-338-3941, have them take a look at your HVAC needs. Matter of fact, right now, give them a call, and they will do an air conditioning tune-up, kind of a pre-summer check. We know that we're going to have wild weather, heavy weather, possibly even tonight, but have them come out for $79. They will do that tune-up. They will do that checkup just to make sure you are all set when that hot weather comes in. It's going to be in the 70s today. Just imagine how quickly that hot weather could come in. Be ready. Don't risk a breakdown. Don't risk having that heat and the humidity in your house when you need air conditioning the most. Once again, 314-338-3941, or you can learn more at antonshvac.com.
Stories of New Americans.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me this weekend for Stories of New Americans, where you'll hear fascinating and inspirational personal stories of people from all over the globe who now call St. Louis home. We'll take a look at the U.S. through newcomers' eyes and get insight into world history and culture, and maybe just learn a little bit more about ourselves.
Stories of New Americans with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, that was a wild opening day.
It was.
Let's talk about the holiday. We should have a holiday.
Let's bask in the glow of the holiday.
That's right. All right, just ahead here. Who does not like a good trivia night? I love a good trivia night.
Yeah, I do.
Last time I did trivia night, my team won.
Oh, we came in
much.
second.
Nice.
St. Louis seems to be big on trivia nights.
There are people who do nothing but their hobby is going around to trivia nights all the time. You know,
it's fun.
It is a lot of fun. There's one coming up next week, and you can enjoy it while supporting the men and women in blue here in St. Louis. Ann Dorn from the Captain Dan Dorn Foundation is going to be with us at 7:05 to explain this. So you love trivia nights. You want to support the men and women of our first responders. This is where you want to be. Okay, reflections on the opening day. Even before the game, I went over to the Post in Maplewood to watch the game, just because opening day, I'm like, I don't want to just sit at home doing this, and so I went in, and you see the big parade and everything, and I'm thinking, I have got to go to an opening day one of these days.
Yeah,
I've just got to.
Yeah,
I mean, I really
particularly one as pretty as yesterday was.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
It's perfect.
And so I think even the Cardinals players were caught off guard by the announcement over the national anthem.
Yeah.
Okay, so the speaker is going through the process. The Canadian national anthem had already been played, and then this happens. Not that. That's not the one. Not that.
Wow, I forgot. I missed that part.
There it is. Let me click on the right one. Here's what happened.
Please remain standing and remove your caps. Performing today's national anthem, one of the most up-and-coming singers from right here in St. Louis, kicking off his final season as a player in St. Louis, number 50, Uncle Charlie, Adam Wainwright.
And everybody goes crazy. His teammates standing next to him were like, what is going on? I don't think the Cardinals knew about this.
I think there was a surprise.
I think it was.
It certainly wasn't leaked out ahead of time.
No, I didn't know about it. All right, so here's just the first few seconds, because I don't have time to play the whole thing, but here we go.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Okay, so you know why I don't have enough time to play the whole
Yeah,
thing.
he's very deliberate with
Yes.
the pacing of it. Yes.
And granted, when you're doing that, you also have to deal with the echo
Oh,
inside
God.
Oh my
I
goodness,
can't
yeah.
imagine.
the stadium. So I'll grant him that, but still, it was awfully slow.
It was very, it was very, very slow. But he
did a good job.
He's not a professional singer.
No.
But he's got a good voice.
He does. He
and
does.
everybody. How can you not like Adam Wainwright?
I loved it. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite things. I mean, I almost got kind of teary about it. It was like that. It was like, that's so sweet and so awesome.
He's listed as an aspiring country singer.
That's right.
Yeah, I could see that working
Actually,
for him.
my daughter's a big country fan,
Mhm.
and I played a couple of songs, not telling her who it was, and she's like, "Oh, he's not bad. He's okay." And I went, "That's actually Adam Wainwright." She's like, "The pitcher?"
Yep.
Yeah. She goes, "Well, for somebody who's not a singer, that's pretty good."
Yeah.
So he has actually done like concerts and stuff. All right, still ahead. I want to get in the sound bites from Jordan Walker. on
Yeah.
his first
Yeah,
impressions.
yeah.
I don't have time for it now, but we'll do that a little bit later on.
Hey, Columbo here for Zero Res. Get the jump on spring cleaning just like we did and get Zero Res out to your home now. Zero Res can clean basically every surface in your home, and since April is National Pet Month, it's important to remember that they don't use any harsh chemicals, so their services are safe for pets. Book now and mention the Columbo special to get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $119. Plus, they'll throw in a free hallway and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Just call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Hi, Jen Wallner here. As a former foster child myself, I have always been an advocate for foster children in our community. Angels Arms is an amazing organization that provides a stable, nurturing, and loving family environment for these children. They ensure these children have not only the childhood they deserve, but the resources needed to become successful, thriving adults. I truly believe that this organization is transforming lives, and I could not be more proud to be a small part of that accomplishment. For more information or to get involved, visit angelsarms.org.
You can win a district attorney election in most of the major metropolitan areas for under $1 million, and some for as little as $75,000.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
And so if you're a billionaire like George Soros, I think he spent a total of now only $29 million in buying DA races around the country. Soros funded prosecutors. They find a way to use their political power to prosecute their political adversaries and to promote what they would call progressive social change.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Mystic Fix is sponsored by Kama Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Kama Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Kama Flight on Instagram at KAMAFLIGHT.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A growing chorus of Republican voices, even some of those who are not Trump allies, condemning the unprecedented indictment of the former president, Donald Trump, indicted by a Manhattan grand jury.
The reactions range from outrage to vindication. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy denounced the Manhattan DA, claiming Alvin Bragg has weaponized our sacred system of justice. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Trump is subject to the same laws as every American. Meanwhile, Trump himself said he was completely innocent and called the indictment political persecution.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston, our Senate correspondent Bob Agnew.
The indictment makes Trump the first former U.S. president to be charged with a crime, but GOP leaders on Capitol Hill say it also amounts to an unprecedented abuse of power, one they're calling the weaponization of the Justice Department. Republican Senator Josh Hawley tweets, the indictment is not about the law, but rather, quote, it's about power, raw power. It's the Democrat Party telling the nation they will stop at nothing to control the outcome of the next presidential election. The former president says he's guilty of no wrongdoing. He is expected to be arrested next week. Bob Agnew reporting.
And Americans are chiming in. 62% of voters polled by Quinnipiac University say the Manhattan DA's grand jury inquiry has been mainly motivated by politics. Just 32% think the probe was mainly motivated by the law. 2 Memphis police officers hospitalized in critical condition this morning, along with the gunman who opened fire on them last evening. 911 recordings capturing the terror inside a Nashville elementary school during last week's mass shooting have been released. Callers can be heard pleading for help in hushed voices while sirens, crying, and gunfire are heard in the background. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 84 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Miss Prager here. Sue and I mean it. Dogs are part of our family. We love Otto and Snoopy so much. There's nothing quite like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens. In fact, I just talked to my wife about it because we want them to be healthy and we want them to be with us as long as possible. That's true. I know Sebastian Gorka feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. Our pups, Killian and Leia, rely on us to provide what's best for them. And naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, omega oils, and more that supplement their food in a way that has shown us great results. Trying out Rough Greens is an easy yes, recommended by me, Dr. G.
Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm so proud that the Pragers and Sebastian Gorka have entrusted their dog's health to Rough Greens. I'm so confident that Rough Greens can help your dog, I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, your dog's food is dead food, but you can bring it back to life with Rough Greens. Go to ruffgreens.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow. So we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
It's Friday!
I love that liner from Tim Jones. I told him last week, I'm like, we're doing that with your thing now, right? He's like, great. He's excited he gets to be a thing now.
I think he's going to start charging us.
Right. He wants his royalties, man.
Yeah.
All right, supporting those who support our first responders. You can help. It's going to be fun. We're going to tell you how to do it in just a moment right now. 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson, RedState.com's Susie Moore in the studio with me, and Stel Ponticus, as always, as well. And yes, we're going to get back to talking about the Trump indictment, what's next, and more importantly, how you feel about it all. Let's do that at 7:20. So get ready to let us know. You can comment on Rumble, Facebook, but I'd love to have you give me a call. All right, everybody loves a good trivia night, right?
Absolutely.
I do.
I do.
I have so much otherwise useless knowledge in my noggin that is good for nothing other than trivia nights.
Yeah, and I get fiercely competitive at them. I have to kind of hold myself back a little bit.
But the fun part on those also is the causes that you do. That's one of the things about St. Louis that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Is that everybody does, their sort of fundraising in a lot of different ways. In some areas, they've got kids going door to door selling candy bars. You can do car washes. You can do, fancy dinners and all that kind of stuff. But St. Louis loves a trivia night. They are so much fun, and you can still focus on what you're trying to support as well.
Absolutely. And it is a good way to raise money. I mean, I've been to some that have raised quite a lot of money for their cause.
I have dropped a lot of money at some of these things in
yeah.
the past as well. We're joined now by Sergeant Ann Dorn, and of course she's with the Captain David Dorn Foundation. And Ann, I came across something yesterday. Stell pointed it out to me. The David Dorn Foundation, you've got a trivia night coming up in about a week.
We do. Good morning to you guys. April 7th, Friday, April 7th. Out at the Eagles Hall in Arnold, Missouri. We're going to have a trivia night.
All right, and we're going to give out the website information where everybody can find that as well. Do you still have room for more people or tables?
We do. We do have plenty of tables still available, and we have plenty of auction items. We have 50-50. We're going to have raffles. We're going to have all kinds of giveaways. We're going to have fun. I have two great, one's a retired police officer who's going to MC for the night. And there's going to be lots of laughing, lots of jokes. It's going to be a really good time.
And what inspired you guys to go with the trivia night for this? It looks like this is the first one you all are holding.
It is. It's our first annual. I attended my first trivia night just a few months ago, really, and had a great time and thought, hey, let's try this and see what we could do. And it's been a real pain trying to put it together.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I've been a policeman for 28 years. I'm not a fundraiser, and it's a big learning curve for me, but I am having fun meeting some really great people, and people showing their support to us has just been awesome.
All right, Ann, let me back up just a little bit. For people who aren't familiar with the David Dorn Foundation, I think pretty much everybody in St. Louis is familiar, with the legacy of your late husband, but what does the foundation actually do?
We support underfunded first responders, all of them, police, fire, EMS, who just can't afford to pay their employees. And what we do is we help them buy equipment, or we buy equipment for them. We help with unexpected expenses. We'll help with their mental health services, and just about anything that may come up that we feel we could help with. In the past, we have bought boots for some firefighters who had holes in their boots trying to fight fires in the winter. We've bought flashlights. We've bought eye and ear protection. One of our biggest things that we supply are first aid trauma kits to first responders that are police officer specific for puncture wounds, gunshots, tourniquets, things like that. They're very life-saving for them.
And what have you found is the biggest challenge in running the foundation and supporting what is undoubtedly a worthy cause? But what is the biggest challenge you all have run into?
For me personally, is just getting out there and asking for money. I'm not a person to just come out and say, "Hey, can I have some money?"
Right.
Once I get over that, a lot of people are really willing to help us. But it's really trying to find long-term sponsorships to help us out, because we really want this in for the long haul. We're not here just a blink in the eye in a year. We want to keep doing this. We really want to meet the needs of these underfunded agencies.
We are visiting with Sergeant Ann Dorn, and obviously we're talking about the work of the Captain David Dorn Foundation. And let me go back to something what you were just describing as far as the work that you're doing, the boots with the holes in it for the firefighters, the police officers with the first aid kits with the puncture wound equipment and things like that. I think a lot of people probably said, wait a minute, what the heck? That's stuff that we pay taxes for. Why aren't our first responders equipped right now? How pervasive is the shortage of in some cases basic equipment to deal with emergency calls? Because I think that probably surprised a lot of people. I'm not going to lie, Ann, it surprised me.
Yeah, it really surprised me. You know, I was kind of spoiled being a police officer in the city of St. Louis. We really did have the equipment we needed. But you start getting out to these smaller agencies right outside just the city, and they don't have the funding. They don't have the tax basis to where they can pay and buy this equipment for their officers. They supply them with a badge, a gun, and sometimes a vest, and then they're given a very small uniform allowance. And after they buy their pants and their shirt and sometimes a coat, they have nothing left to buy a tourniquet with. They have nothing left to buy a flashlight with. So it's really important to get these guys some of this equipment, you know, and the firefighters, it just wasn't in the budget for them to get new boots at the time. And in January, fighting fires with water in your boots is a pretty tough way to go. So since our inception of March of last year, we've helped 722 first responders.
Wow. I mean, y'all, I've talked to him in the past about, being a pastor's kid myself, but my dad was also a volunteer firefighter. He was a captain in a fire department. And before I was born, he was actually a police officer as well. So I've kind of grew up around the flashing lights on there. And that's, I think, what stunned me the most, because even in the volunteer department in Decatur, Illinois, which is now a professional department, but at the time it was a volunteer department, they had the funding for those basics. And it just blows me away that there are agencies that don't have some of those necessities in the area. I think that might be one of the biggest takeaways from our conversation right now. I mean, we'll revisit what's going to happen next Friday at the trivia night, but that just kind of knocked me over, and I did not know there was that kind of need.
It's so bad, and I didn't either until I got out there. Really, I mean, we knew there was somewhat of a need, but until I got out there and actually started talking to these people and talking to first responders, we did not see how bad it was until we were there, and then I was very shocked. Like I said, I ended up realizing how spoiled I was working for the city and having a lot of my needs met. But they just don't have hardly anything. There's some agencies that barely have a car to drive around and patrol in.
Man, the trivia night is 1 week from today, April 7th, and the doors open at 6. The trivia night starts at 7 o'clock. You mentioned there's going to be the auction, the 50-50, the raffles, a lot more as well. Can you give us a preview of some of the favorite things that are going to be auctioned off so far? I'm sure you're still collecting some of them, but is there anything that you can give us a hint at or a little bit of a preview at?
Yeah, the hot items are we have Cardinal tickets. We do have a four package of Cardinal tickets. We do have a Louis Vuitton backpack that the women are going crazy for. We have tons of gift cards from all over, restaurants from all over the area have been gracious to give us those. We have the EOTech site for those of people who are gun owners. They'll know what the Neotech site is. We have some Cardinals memorabilia. Oh my gosh, we have such a huge list. We have some barbecue grills. The list just goes on and on and on of the things we have.
Okay, and where do we learn more about it? I know it's at the website of the foundation. So what is that? Or people say, hey, I want to get a table, or hey, I don't have a whole table where the people, can I still get involved and do this as well? So where do they get in touch?
Yeah, our website is www.daviddornfoundation.com, or tickets are still available if you go to CAPTDDFND at ticketleap.com.
All right. You can also probably Google search David Dorn Foundation. It's probably going to pop right up.
Yes, and if you go under the event page of the David Dorn website, you will see Trivia Night.
All right, Sergeant Ann Dorn, good to talk to you again. Thanks so much for first of all taking just such the tragedy of your husband's legacy and what happened with him and turning it into this. I mean, I don't know that everybody could work up the sort of the strength to do that sort of thing. So I really appreciate what you're doing, but also this is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people while they're honoring your late husband's work.
I thank you so much for giving me time this morning.
You got it. All right. We'll talk to you again soon, Ann. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great day.
All right, 314-912-1019. By the way, the tickets and the tables, pretty much exactly what you would expect for a trivia night.
Yeah.
So,
very reasonable.
yeah, I mean, you can, if you're like on your own, and you're like, hey, I don't have enough of a table, it's like $30
right
to get involved. I've actually picked up I've actually won an auction or two. So I've actually got a couple Cardinals autographs.
Yeah,
that came
that's
from
a fun way to get
trivia
cool stuff
nights.
like
Yeah,
that. Exactly.
it is precisely. So yeah, check that out. April 7th. It's going to happen in Arnold. All right, just ahead. What are your thoughts? What's your reaction when you hear Donald Trump now indicted, past tense, in New York? We'll tell you what we know about what's ahead, and you're going to hear from Donald Trump's lawyer as to how he thinks they came up with 30-plus counts, which is what's being reported. That's right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL, right around 7:21.
For podcast, articles, and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Dan Bongino Show.
Put your mind for a second in the mind of the liberal. This is why they're freaking crazy people, because they don't know what to think. They're told by their liberal overlords in the media, the border's secure.
Weekdays at 11.
Do I believe my lion eyes, or do I believe Anderson Cooper?
On News Talk STL.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, apixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist-prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Fox News commentary.
I have long called for the elimination of TikTok in America, but the bipartisan bill supposedly written to do that is not what I asked for. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
I despise TikTok. Not only do I know it's a Chinese communist surveillance apparatus, I know it's making young Americans dumber. That's just a fact. But, and I hate to say this, the current bipartisan legislation on the table to ban it also gives me cause for pause. The bill itself essentially gives the U.S. government carte blanche to control and go after any and everything bureaucrats deem a national security risk. It is essentially the Patriot Act for the internet, and after reading it, I'm deeply troubled. Can y'all not just go after TikTok? We need to root out the communist national security threat, not give the government free rein to limit our online freedom. If this is the best y'all can come up with, I don't support it. I guess we as concerned Americans will just have to delete TikTok and rid it from our devices without your help then. We want the CCP out of our devices, but we aren't going to give up our rights and freedoms to get there, and we shouldn't have to. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Hey everybody, it's Paul Kurtman. Make sure you join me every Saturday from 12 to 1 here on News Talk STL for the Paul Kurtman Show. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, did you guys hear?
What?
Donald Trump's been indicted.
No.
Oh, did you hear? You didn't hear that? I know.
Get out.
Does that happen to you, Mike, where people are like, have you heard XYZ? And it's something that's been like a huge news story you've covered all day long.
Yeah, it's like, I do this for a living.
Do you know what I do, right?
Yeah, I'm going to admit, because I know, listen, I understand people are really, really fired up about this.
Sure.
I get this. Particularly those who are the biggest supporters of Donald Trump.
Well, rightly so.
Right, absolutely. And even, those of us who I am absolutely that conservatarian, haven't decided who I'm voting for in the primaries, but I'm looking at this going, this is just naked politics.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the abuse of the criminal justice system. So to me, yes, it's about Donald Trump, but I also think it's bigger than just about Donald Trump.
Oh,
that's what frustrates me about it.
Definitely.
Having said that, I told Stella earlier, I'm watching the Cardinals game. I'm watching because I got there early enough to watch like the parade of the opening day and everything. And then I don't know what time it broke, but it was during the game, so it was 4 something.
Sometime after 4.
Yeah. And my notifications start going off on my phone, and I pull it up and I'm like, oh, the indictment happened. Wow, this is really big. I'm going to watch the game. I'll get to this later.
Yeah, lucky you. I left here yesterday and went by the grocery store and got hot dogs. And I had hot dogs at home, but because I had to work yesterday. So I'm on the desk and everybody else is out doing stuff and the indictment comes down. And I'm like, oh,
there we
go.
go.
It was my night.
There we go. Yep.
I think the important question is, was it mustard and relish?
It was mustard and relish.
Okay.
It was spicy brown mustard even.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Give a little extra kick.
Daring.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is what we know, which actually is surprisingly little. Now, I say surprisingly, not surprising to Susie because she's an attorney. And we'll get through kind of the process part of this. Joe Tacopina, is the lawyer who is representing Donald Trump in this particular case right now. He was on Hannity on Fox last night, and he was asked about what we know about it, and he has been told how many counts they are expecting and why.
We're the last to know always. The New York Times told us today that he was indicted, and then we got confirmation from the DA's office. We now heard 34 counts. I guarantee it's going to be 34 counts when we find out next week.
Right.
On what? They'll take each check and make that a count, perhaps. And that's how they'll do it, because the check's paid to Cohen.
Yeah, so that's why the number could be as big as it is, because you see people like 30 some counts are expected, and and it's kind of that legalese sort of aspect to it.
It's that thing where people's instinct is, oh, that means he's extra super duper guilty because of the big number.
Did you catch his comment at the beginning? The New York Times.
Yeah.
Somebody leaked it to them first, and then he finds out.
Just like Obama, they found out from watching the news.
Yep, right. And then he went and got confirmation from the DA's office as to what was coming. But so as far as the mechanics of this go, Susie, is the accusations, it doesn't look like have changed, but the big number is because of each of the transactions.
Yeah. And there may be, so for each one, I don't know exactly, but for each check, there may be like 2 or 3 different potential charges.
Okay.
Because they're trying to kind of bootstrap a few things together in order to get around not only the statute of limitations, which is the big obstacle they have here, because the altering of business records or that sort of thing normally is just a misdemeanor, and that's a 2-year statute of limitations, which we're long past. So the only way they're getting around that is by grafting a federal count onto it, and then going with like the last part of the payments, that sort of thing, based on what we know. And so, yeah, for each transaction, there may be 2 or 3 different or specific charges that go along with it, which is how you get up to a number like 34.
Is that normal in grand jury indictments or prosecutorial indictments? I mean, is that cast the net as wide as you can for somebody, whether they are truly guilty of something heinous or whether it's a situation like this that looks political? Is that tactic normal, or is this something special for Donald Trump?
No, I think the tactic is very normal.
Okay.
You cast a fairly wide net. Now, you don't want to just throw out charges that you don't think there's any way that you can prove, because then you're going to be subject to malicious prosecution type charges. But if there's if there's some evidence that might support it, you're going to have some weaker counts and some stronger ones, but you kind of lump them all out there because then that gives you leverage if you're going to be negotiating a plea deal, that sort of thing.
Stell, here's one of the interesting things about this is the Trump his legal team and his organization, there have apparently been negotiations going on as far as his appearance and, I mean, actual arrest. I mean, it's technically that's what's going to happen, and booking and mugshot. And they tried to want to send in lawyers to enter all these, not guilty pleas on his behalf. Apparently, Bragg said no. He's got to be in person, and so they're negotiating him actually showing up in person. Somebody is going to fingerprint him, and somebody is going to take a mugshot.
Yeah, that's not unusual. I mean, for that in that instance or regarding that aspect of it, this isn't like special treatment for Donald Trump in a negative way.
Right.
Very rarely you do have a situation, if you're talking about a felony or misdemeanor charge, where you're going to say the defendant doesn't need to be there and be part of that process.
I find it interesting that we're a year and a half away from the election, and my first thought was, well, this is my first thought from a couple of months ago. They're trying to do whatever they can to screw up whatever Trump is going to try to do with rallies and everything else between now and Election Day. And this will, whatever appearances he has coming up, that's going to throw a wrench into whatever his schedule is over the next few months. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. By the way, I had 35 and over on
the over-under on it?
Yeah.
Missed it by that much.
Almost.
Man.
Oh, man. Senator Josh Hawley was on Jesse Waters' show
Okay.
on Fox, and here's his reaction.
I think what this is about is nothing to do with the rule of law, Jesse. Obviously, this is about power. It is a demonstration of raw power. I think the Democrats know this has nothing to do with the law. They're sending a message, and the message is they will use any power that they have to interfere in the next presidential election.
So that goes along with what you were just saying. And the scheduling on this, I mean, obviously there'll be some hearing where the lawyers will look at the calendars and they will do everything like they do everything else. Susie, is there anything that you could see that would give any credence to he can't travel anywhere for something like this?
No.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. But
No. I don't see them putting a limitation on travel. There's no, I just don't see that happening.
It's not that he's a flight risk. It's not that he could go anywhere in the world and people would not know who he is.
Exactly.
I mean,
Turn in your passport, Donald.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be fleeing. I don't think they have to worry about him. I
No.
mean, just from like, do you know Donald Trump?
Right,
He's
yeah.
not going anywhere. And you mentioned earlier him being booked and a mug shot. I'm like, if ever there was going to be a mug shot,
yeah.
you know he's going to be sitting there with the Cheshire Cat grin on his face for that mug shot.
Do you know who did the best mugshot of all? Was remember Tom DeLay? Wasn't he the congressman who was indicted on something?
He was,
and
well,
he
the
showed
one.
he showed up in the suit. His hair was done right, and he posed and smiled like he was a kid at the Sears photography place doing family pictures.
Exactly.
So when they put out the mugshot, it could have been his picture from his office.
Yeah. So you better believe that
That's
there's
what
going to
you
be
should
a
do,
big
yeah.
old grin on Donald's face.
I smell T-shirt fundraisers.
Oh, if you ever get arrested, do that.
Oh, yeah.
Show up dressed to the nines, go to the hair salon before that, and smile real big.
Well, now, Mike, that presupposes that you have the opportunity to do that as opposed to being yanked out of your car
That's
looking
true.
looking like death warmed over. With,
Yeah.
some of those mugshots are really scary.
Or you get raided at 5 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that too,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Well, 5 a.m., that's 3 hours into my day.
For most
I can
people, they'd be a little bleary-eyed.
Just go ahead and
have
say
some
it, Susie.
bedhead.
For normal people.
For normal people.
That's right. All right. So basically, then what's next? We don't know when Donald Trump is going to arrive in New York to do this. I mean, there's a lot of people speculating, saying this day or this day. Haven't we learned already not to speculate because the schedule is way off? We don't know when it's going to happen. Basically, it's when the district attorney and probably the Secret Service is going to be one of the biggest drivers to this. Because the Secret Service, they are not leaving Donald Trump's side. It doesn't matter where he goes or what he does. He is their protectee. They have an obligation to stay with him. There will be Secret Service agents. Nobody is putting a hand on Donald Trump with the Secret Service there. It's just that simple.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Legal question for you.
Yeah.
How difficult will it be for his lawyers to try to get a change of venue? Because I think a change of venue is critical in this situation. I don't think he's going to get a fair trial in New York City. But
Yeah, but
can
that's
they
not
do
the
that?
standard. That's, I mean, obviously they can ask for one. You don't get a change of venue that often. Usually it's when you have something that's very local to begin with, and then there's an argument that if you go somewhere outside that locality, there's less likely to be influence on the jury. How do you get away from Donald Trump? There's not a person on the face of the planet that doesn't know Donald Trump and know most of this story. So saying this jury pool is tainted, but the one over here won't be, I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah, but knowing the way politically New York City is,
That doesn't matter.
Like
it's not,
D.C. and
it's not
Boston.
based on what the demographics are. It's based
Okay.
on whether the jury pool has been tainted by the publicity and the news about it. It's not what are their attitudes. You don't get to change venue because you don't like the attitudes. Believe me, as someone who tried cases in the city of St. Louis for 28 years, and when it used to be a big deal to fight over venue because juries in the city of St. Louis were much more generous in giving out money than jurors out in like the outlying counties. So yeah, but you don't get to say, hey, we don't want to be here because this jury is going to be too generous. That doesn't work. It's not based on what the juror's attitude is. It's based on whether they've been tainted by the information.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and when the indictment is unsealed, who knows?
Maybe it'll be today at 11 o'clock just to piss Vic off.
That's right. It'll be at 11:01, right after the Vic Porcelli show, which is from 9 to 11. Okay, all right. How about some other craziness that's happening? Did you see what happened in the Tennessee State Capitol yesterday?
Yeah.
This was nuts, and you would think normally that would be the dominant headline, but the Donald Trump indictment even overshadowed that. And there's a lot of confusion over who was actually protesting what, but it got physical there.
It did.
I've actually got some audio from the actual whatever this was that happened to tell you what we know. Love to know what you think about it as well, right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow. So we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
iHelp is the immigrant home English learning program here in St. Louis that helps empower immigrant families by providing individualized, in-home English language education and tools for the effective navigation of our community. iHelp connects volunteer teachers with adult immigrant and refugee learners in our community to develop English and life skills. To learn more or to volunteer as a tutor, visit ihelpstl.org. That's ihelpstl.org.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, and you can hear my no-spin commentary right here at 6:45 this evening. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So protesters basically take over and actually get physical at a state capitol building. Hear what happened in just a moment, because there's been a lot of confusion over who and what was going on. So I've actually got some of the audio of the chaos that happened in Tennessee. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 7:37 right now. Got Susie Moore filling in for Gabe Pfeiffer. Susie Moore of RedState.com fame. And, of course, Stel Ponticus of Stel Ponticus fame. Right here at 101.9, 94.
Of Cub fame, yes.
Oh, man, you had to do that.
I know.
Did they win yesterday?
Yes, Cubs are in first.
Okay.
Yep. For a day.
The Cubs are undefeated.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
I will. Okay.
Yeah, Cubs are, I mean, objectively speaking, I'm thinking probably middle of the pack in the NL Central.
500 team. That's what I'm
Maybe, yeah.
expecting. 81 or something.
Fortunately for them, the Reds are a complete mess.
And the Pirates.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Pirates have, got a history of being a mess. But Reds are really struggling right now. By the way, okay, 750. We haven't done this in a little while. Whatever happened to ellipses? ... What's the news story or the person or the event or the thing that used to be in the news and just kind of fizzled out or went away? So be thinking about that. I'm curious. 314-912-1019. So still, Susie, kind of be thinking, whatever happened to that, and we'll talk about the news that isn't the news anymore here in just a little bit. We'll do that in about 12 minutes or so. Okay, this was really something. Tennessee State Capitol. I saw a headline that there was a protest at the state capitol. Well, there's protests all the time at state capitals. There's protests all the time at county, stuff. I mean, it just state stuff, federal stuff. It happens all the time. But this one got out of hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really ugly.
It was.
There for a while. And then there was a lot of confusion as to who was protesting what. The first headlines I saw said that transgender activists were protesting and shouting down and blocking up. And then later, it turns out that the focus was more people demanding gun control. But, Susie, it sounds like there was basically a mixture of people there.
I think that's correct, based on what the information that I was seeing. I mean, the issue, like we were talking about, the issue they were debating was gun control, but I think that there was kind of a blend of people there that were activists that were protesting various things.
Okay, so the national show Inside Edition did a report on it, and I don't have time to play the whole thing, but here's just a clip of their report as to what happened. And when you hear all the shouting and stuff, remember that Tennessee State Police or Highway Patrol or whatever they're called there, they were escorting the lawmakers in and out, and at times people were putting their hands on these lawmakers. Yeah. And at one, there was some stupid, looks like a college kid, who stood in front and wouldn't move, so they're shoving back and forth and everything. And it's a really tenuous situation because, normally what the police can do is just grab you by the scruff of the neck and yank you out. But you've got hundreds of crazed people throwing a fit, and it would have been like throwing a match, over on a powder keg.
Yeah,
is what this was, because I think there's a lot of people who wanted the powder keg. So here's Inside Edition's coverage of this.
It was a storming of the Capitol on the state level.
Wow, that's a lot of people for 45 minutes before a start time.
Hundreds of parents and students marched all the way to the Tennessee Capitol in Nashville just days after a shooter killed 6 people, including 3 9-year-old kids, at a nearby private Christian school. They demanded lawmakers take action to prevent another tragedy like this from happening again.
Save our kids! Save our kids!
They shouted at lawmakers who were going about their business in the building. Some even stopped to encourage the protesters.
This is the voice of the people.
What do we want? Gun control. When do we want it? Now. So very, very creative there. But yeah, this was, they fill, I don't know how big the Tennessee State Capitol building is. I've never been there, but they filled a lot of areas of it. And it, like I said, it was really ugly. And I would be embarrassed if our side behaved like this.
I would be too.
I'm embarrassed when either side does it. We talk about the degradation of our process. this is part of it right here. Now, first of all, I know that they're seizing on the attack on the Christian school. I'm going to make a blanket statement here that's going to make somebody mad, and I don't care. If you are a hard leftist, you don't care that there was an attack on a Christian school, period. You just don't. But this is an opportunity for them to get out and demand that the Second Amendment be eradicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably people there that genuinely would like to see, changes in gun laws and think that more gun control legislation maybe is an answer to these, mass shootings. I think there are probably people there of good faith, but I agree with you that the focus isn't because it was a Christian school. No. It's, because they want to have their say. I mean, it's kind of inescapable. You have people storming a Capitol where lawmakers are conducting their business, and it's getting physical, and they are essentially getting to a point where they are trespassing, and it's criminal trespass. This happened in Kentucky earlier in the week, too.
And it's happened in the past in Madison, Wisconsin, and Lansing, Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
now
I'm gonna step on toes here by saying that do the flip test, because it's folks on the left.
Right. That's what I'm saying. How does
Exactly,
this
right.
fit into the J6 framework?
Right. Yeah, but the Wisconsin one was worse than this.
Oh, yeah.
That was really,
this
really
ultimately didn't end up getting violent.
Right.
It was dicey, and there was some physicality, but it wasn't like, crazy out of hand. Thank God.
And so when you talk about the flip test, for instance, and this is one of those interesting things where I think whether you're on the right or whether you're on the left, the question now is, are you consistent?
Yeah.
So for those who look at January 6th and say, regardless of what you think of the election stuff and Donald Trump and all this other stuff, you see the chaos that happened in there, and you're angry about that. Are you also angry about this? Were you also angry about Madison, Wisconsin? Are you still okay? So I'm looking at the tactic and the lawlessness and the versions or scales of rioting or whatever, is because when things get physical, that's a whole different thing. But at any level of this, it shouldn't be tolerated from anybody, regardless of whether I agree with them on stuff or disagree with them on stuff. So are you consistent?
Yeah. I mean, that's the true test of it. And, it's the thing where you want to balance people's right to redress and their right to protest and exercise their First Amendment rights. Absolutely, they have a right to be there and have their voices heard. They don't necessarily have a right to disrupt the official business. They certainly don't have a right to get violent.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's where I draw the line. I draw the line across the board. I don't care what your angle is and what your motive is. You don't do that.
Right. And it doesn't matter which side you're on.
No.
I mean, I think every single instance that we've just referenced, I think should be looked at the same way when it comes to the actual actions of the people who either broke in, pushed through, got physical, threatened. They should be looked at the same way, regardless of what their political leanings are.
I agree. I wish that we were administering justice in this country based on that principle as opposed to based on our partisan viewpoints. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is.
Yeah, because the reality is that conservatives look at what happened in Tennessee and rightfully point out how gross it was when it got out of hand.
Right.
But we don't look at it the same way in other cases.
Well, I do.
And
I'm conservative.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but there are a lot of people who don't. They're like, well, that's different. When
No.
If people who vote like you did it, it's still the same thing.
There's a lot of people who don't want to apply the same standards to the people they don't like.
Right.
It's just the way.
Yeah. And that
human nature, I guess. But
unfortunately, that's bipartisan.
Oh yeah, that is.
I mean, so what do you do about it at this point? Because the right thing, justice, to me, is the state patrol or the Capitol Police or whatever the agency is in Nashville being able to go in and, again, grab these loudmouth college kids and everybody else who was there. There were adults there, too, and some of them had kids in tow, which was disgusting. Grab them by the scruff of the neck and drag them out. That's what they should be able to do. They were outnumbered 100-1 on this. They couldn't do that, so the best they could do was get around the lawmakers trying to get to the floor to have their debates and cast their votes.
Well, and kudos to them because they did manage to keep things from escalating further, and it ended up being resolved without there being anybody harmed
Right.
So kudos to law enforcement there.
I don't know if there was any damage to the building. I don't know if anything like that happened. I didn't see any reports
I was
of
gonna
it.
say, and I didn't see any things like that. I saw mostly lots of like a push of the crowd and lots of shouting. I heard one woman screaming at the top of her lungs, "What is wrong with you?" And I wanted to say, "What is wrong with
it's like,
you?
Would you like a mirror here
My
to look
goodness.
into? Yeah. I mean, that's if you are somebody who is influenced by that when you're making a vote on the floor, you're the wrong person to be representing people, because you should not be intimidated into a vote if you disagree with it. Of course, I don't know what the makeup is in Tennessee. I suspect it's more of a Republican state.
Oh, it is.
But the few Democrats finally like, oh yes, look at this, the people are speaking. No, your activists who lose on everything are speaking, and they're getting aggressive. And this is one of the things we have to make sure we get a hold of, because if this is the type of thing that keeps happening, it's just a further deterioration of the entire process.
Yep.
I could see this happening in Jeff City. I don't see it happening in Illinois because the conservatives aren't going to do that.
No.
I can see liberals doing it in other places.
One thing about Nashville is when I look at the city, I bet their demographics have changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've got so much construction going on, new buildings, influx of people, businesses moving there, country music center of the country, contemporary Christian music center of the country. A lot of Democrats and Republicans both are probably
city's growing like crazy. Every time I go through Nashville, I see the same thing that you see. There's a
skyline full of cranes.
Right? Yeah, skyline full of cranes. A lot of you got the demographics of white and black, but there's a whole demographic of country music there.
Oh yeah,
there, without a doubt. 314-912-1019. Hey, whatever happened to what? You tell me on 751 here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Chris, Katie, and I will give you the latest on the political persecution of Donald Trump at 4:25. Zach Smith of the Heritage Foundation, 5:25. The Show Me Institute on Joe Biden's busted budget.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
This is Rob with St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, and we'd like to let you know you don't have to maintain the grout in your home anymore. The grout on the floor or in your shower or bath area. How would you like zero grout in your bathroom? At St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, we focus on grout-free options for your bathroom. If you hate cleaning grout, St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, 314-477-6476. 314-477-6476. Give us a call.
It's Proctor, spelled like doctor, for custom window fabrics and shutters. Upgrade or start from scratch. Either way, Michael is the St. Louis expert. Check him out at proctordrapery.com and then call Proctor, spelled like doctor, for shutters, shades, and draperies.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Whatever happened to what's the news story or the public figure that just kind of whatever happened to something or somebody that we're like, hey, wait a minute, weren't we just talking about that? We'll get to that here in just a second. I'm Mike. That's Susie in for Gabe today. Stell's here. By the way, News Talk STL has the best local news talk programming, including Mark McCloskey on Fire Sunday from 5 to 6 o'clock. Go to newstalkstl.com to take a look at that weekend schedule. Man, there is a lot of local programming. We do not stop being a news talk station here in St. Louis just because we wrap things up on Friday. We just kind of keep going through the whole thing. All right, let's go around the room here because we did this before, and it was kind of interesting because all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I do remember that news story. Why did it go away? Because sometimes why a story goes away tells you something about the story and the situation itself, and other times people just kind of fizzle out. Anybody have one here, Susie?
Oh, I've got
several. All right, let's start with one with you, and then we'll go to Stell, then me, then we'll come back to you.
Whatever happened to the Chinese spy balloon and the unexplained aerial phenomenon that were being shot out of the sky right and left right after that?
Yes, that's right. That did go away. Yeah. And did they develop the Polaroids from the balloon? I'm sure they did.
No, I don't know. We've not heard.
Yeah. Great. That's a great one. 314-912-1019. What's your whatever happened to? Stell, what you got?
I'm going to say what happened to East Palestine, Ohio.
Yeah.
Because that has seemingly fallen off the news map here in the last couple of weeks, and that bothers me a lot because those people are still suffering.
I saw this morning that the president and the first lady are headed to Mississippi today to visit those who were affected by the tornado outbreak.
Right. Last Friday.
And okay, that's I honestly don't know that that's a good idea just because of all the logistics and security that goes into a president going somewhere. But when I saw that and the White House making a big deal about that, I thought of East Palestine as well because they sent Secretary Pete out there, and that did not go well for
No.
him at all.
Has anything gone well for Pete?
No,
in his tenure? I don't really think of it. No.
I don't think so. Talk about a guy who fails up.
Well, that's kind of like the entire cabinet.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And the head of it.
Okay, so I've got one here, and I'm risking stepping on some toes of our News Talk STL family. It kind of dawned on me last night. I said, whatever happened to Vivek Ramaswamy? I haven't heard anything from him in the last couple of weeks. He just kind of went away. I haven't heard anything. I'm sure he's doing something. But
I've seen the 3 interviews.
Yeah, he
but
came
they were
out
on
as
news
soon
shows.
as last week was when Trump predicted that he was going
Yeah.
to be getting indicted, and he had a big comment on that.
Okay.
But he's been quiet the past few days. I
right,
agree.
and he's been overshadowed by.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think anybody expects him to actually be a contender for the nomination.
No.
But his whole point was to, I think, shape the narrative of the campaign overall, which I think he started off immediately doing.
Yeah.
Because he talks about eradicating the Department of Education, and other candidates and potential candidates, they now have to answer that question. So he was shaping it. But the last couple weeks, I'm like, I haven't really heard much from him. And I bought his book, and it still has not shown up.
Aw.
That's been like 3 weeks.
I'll get Kathy to buy you a copy.
Right. Well, I've already
somewhere.
bought it. They
Oh,
just
did you
haven't-
buy it? Okay.
No, I
No,
bought
but I
it.
mean, yeah, she'll get the physical copy, and
Oh,
then
okay, yeah.
I'll give it to you, and then you can give us
The one
yours
finally
when it
comes
comes in 3 months.
Because I'm what we're doing, Susie, I don't think I told you this, is I'm buying the candidate books, or like in Ron DeSantis' case, the soon-to-be candidate books.
Right.
And I'm just going to do a book report at some point when I finish them.
Perfect.
So I'm about halfway through the DeSantis book because I'll do a
I've
chapter.
got Nikki
or two.
Haley's book. I haven't read
Which
it.
one?
I think it's the most recent one.
Which-
it came out last year.
Yeah. That's the most recent one.
Yeah.
And that's like the one about women in leadership?
I don't know.
Because there was another one. Yeah. So it's, have you read it yet?
No.
Okay.
I never get a chance to read
I know.
books. I literally don't. I read all day long, and then I go to bed and I open a book up, and 2 pages in, I'm like, it's terrible.
I'm actually just getting back to the point where I can read more than a chapter or two without
Yeah.
my headache starting because of all the eye things that I've had, the surgeries and everything.
I literally
like
have to go a chapter at a time, and
Yeah.
that's even pushing it.
Yeah, so I'll have a book report on DeSantis first, maybe someday Vivek Ramaswamy, because I did order Woke Inc.
Yeah.
And then I've got Tim Scott's book, so I'll work
Okay.
that one in as well. So I'm going to do those. All right. What else? Whatever happened?
Monkeypox.
Oh yeah.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox. Yes.
Monkeypox. I mean, that was a big deal.
I think they tried to make it a big deal, and I think the entire country went, no. I don't think
Maybe
so.
if we hadn't just come through COVID,
Yeah.
maybe. But yeah.
But do you think, because with that one, it was, and I'm going to say this as delicately as I can, such a specific, small subset of the population.
I would say it was very community specific and very behavior specific.
Very behavior.
So they couldn't really get people. People were like, "Well, it's not going to affect me. I'm not
Yeah,
going to a bathhouse."
Right. You're not going to go out to, the Baptist church in the suburbs that has an average attendance of, 68 and have them get worked up and worried about the thing that was spreading around the bathhouses in the city.
Well, not unless you have a really big news story on your hand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was that one. That one just kind of disappeared. I think that one really feels to me like they swung and missed on trying to fearmonger.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else, Del?
I'm going to piggyback on yours and say whatever happened to Nikki Haley.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Because it seems as though she's disappeared here for the last couple of weeks.
Because I actually have to look up to see where she's been interviewed.
She's out there, and she
Yeah.
actually just came out with a statement about pushing for E-Verify nationwide.
Yes.
But again, it's just the news about her just isn't as sexy as everything else that's going on.
Right. So they're basically overshadowed.
Exactly.
So that's not going to change anytime soon with the Trump indictment.
Correct.
Yeah, interesting. And we'll see what happens with other possible candidates in the future. All right, let's talk some local races here. How about running for the local school board, Francis Howell District? We've got one of the candidates.
News, analysis, opinion.
Republicans say they are ready to dig deeper into how Biden family have made their money over the last several years.
This is News Talk STL.
Indicting a former president of the United States.
I would hope that if they brought charges, that they have a strong case.
The Parents' Bill of Rights.
Bank failures, TikTok.
We do not trust TikTok.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Biden isn't doing enough.
And newstalkstl.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Describing his father's indictment as weaponized justice at its absolute worst, Donald Trump Jr. says it's also a glaring example of hypocrisy. He writes, they don't do this to the Biden administration or the Biden family, or to the Clintons, or to any one of the corrupt Democrats out there who have made millions and probably billions. We get more from White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
Donald Trump has been indicted by a Manhattan grand jury as the former president seeks re-election and denies any wrongdoing. The specific charges are not yet known, but they stem from payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign to silence claims of an extramarital sexual encounter. Trump called the indictment political persecution, and his lawyers vowed to vigorously fight the charges. Prosecutors said they were working to coordinate Trump's surrender, which could happen early next week. Greg Clugston reporting.
911 calls reveal the terror in Nashville during the school shooting.
The callers were pleading for help.
Are you in a safe spot right now?
I think so. Recordings of 3 calls were released by police in Nashville. One woman called from the school.
In the art room.
Art room.
Yes, please hurry. I'm hearing you.
They're coming. They're coming.
And they sound kind of funny.
Try to stay quiet. I don't know what's going on there.
Children can be heard in the background. Another caller says he was in a second-floor room and asked the dispatcher to send help. He thought the shooter was on the second floor. I'm Ed Donahue.
They were answering a call of a person with a gun when they were shot. 2 Memphis police officers hospitalized in critical condition, along with the suspect who was wounded when the officers returned fire last evening. Forecasters warning of the possibility of severe storms today across parts of the Midwest and the South. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 110 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com. Starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com. Relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow. So we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Are you wanting to improve the look and efficiency of your home? Well, one of the best and easiest ways you can do that, get some new windows. Window World, simply the best for less. You can give them a call today at 314-993-1800. Over 20 years in the business in the St. Louis area, over 70,000 satisfied customers. That's because Window World uses double strength glass, gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. They've got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They've got 18 months, same as cash financing. You can get them today. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
Home is where the heart is, but it's also where the money is too. If you want to make the most of your home, whether you're buying, selling, or staying put, tune into HomeWise, the financial talk show that gives you the real deal on home ownership. HomeWise tells you the secrets that banks, realtors, and contractors don't want you to know, and shows you how to save thousands of dollars on your mortgage, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. HomeWise, how to get the most out of every dollar you put into your home. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer. Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
There's an election next week.
Really?
The funny part is that I think there are a lot of people who just went, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, there are.
Coming up in just a few days.
Yes.
Very important election.
Whoa.
Tuesday, elections are happening. And there's bad news and there's good news about that. The bad news is most people will not show up to vote for them.
Yeah.
The good news is that means your vote is that much more important.
That's right.
So you've got to make sure if you know people who are going to vote the right way for city hall, for ballot proposals, school boards in particular, you need to make sure they're out and voting on Tuesday.
Yep.
One of those candidates is joining us here in just a moment. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 8:06 right now. Susie Moore from redstate.com in with me, filling in for Gabe. Thank you so much for that, by the way.
Yeah.
You've been here over half the week. Stel Ponticus here as well, and now we're joined by Jane Pushkar. She's running for the Francis Howell School Board, and she's going to be Jane is not an unknown name. She's run, she ran for the county council recently as well, now looking at the school board here in Francis Howell District. And Jane, first of all, appreciate you being on the program. Francis Howell, big school district, a lot of issues out there. What made you decide to say, okay, after the last election day, going to stay involved, and the school district is where your energy is being focused right now? What needs to change right off the bat with the Francis Howell School District?
Okay, to answer your first question, good morning, and thank you for having me. Forgot that part. I just wanted to say that the reason that I'm running is, I was kind of bumping along. I was pretty happy, but I got involved in some political action groups. And the more I found out about Francis Howell, the more I decided it was time, and I had the time to get involved. Unfortunately, Francis Howell started construction of a new North High School. And what they did was they overspent the construction cost by $78 million. They actually started construction before they even knew what the cost would be. I don't know. I couldn't run my household like that. I mean, it's actually ridiculous. $78 million of my tax dollars that they're misspending. So that was one of the big things that got me rolling. Another thing that got me rolling wanting to run is the fact that there's no transparency, not enough transparency in what they're teaching our children. Mm-hmm. They paid Dr. LeGarrette King $15,000 to develop a curriculum that for Black literature and Black history that included CRT embedded into it. They weren't real transparent about that. And that's one of the things that I intend to change when I get on the board, and that is there's going to be curricula posted, and it's going to be easily accessible by the parents.
Jane,
and then another... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Say, Jane, I'm so sorry to interrupt here. On the Mizzou professor that you just referred to, LeGarrette King, wasn't he paid also to do like workshops with teachers on how to implement these things, not just the curriculum?
Exactly. I didn't bring that part up. A very subversive way that he did it. We have him on tape where he actually was instructing the teachers on how to teach this material, but not call it CRT because the parents would get riled up and that would impede their progress. So yeah, there's a little bit of social activism there in that. And I'm all for teaching history and literature. I just want it fair and balanced.
Right. Jane, how many seats are open for the Francis Howell School Board, and how many candidates are running for them?
There's 3 open. Last year there were 2, and as you may know, we got 2 conservatives on the board.
Yeah.
So the 3 that get on this year will definitely give us a strong majority, and then next year there'll be 2 more. And that's statewide. Everybody has 3 seats open this year.
Okay.
So we're supported by a number of different really great organizations. 3 of us are supported by Francis Howell Families, St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. I have also endorsements by Senator Bill Eigel, which I'm very proud of. He's a great guy, and I love him to death. But yeah, so we are definitely out there and doing everything within our power to take back these schools because it's time. For too long, we just let them run the way that, you get busy, life takes over. But we don't need to question anything because the experts know what they're doing. Well, the experts have gotten us in a bunch of a mess here with $78 million that we don't have right now, or that we could have spent on other projects.
Yeah, let me follow up with that right there, because obviously there's a lot of attention on the curriculum and the bias and the indoctrination that happens in schools. And I want to get to some of that as well. We're visiting with Jane Pushkar, who's running for the Francis Howell School Board. That high school overspending, I remember when that was a really, really big story when that first came out. What's been the school district's response from them? Because if you're overspending something that's not in the budget, you have to account for the money somehow. It has to come from somewhere else, which means something else ends up getting hurt, or they have to go back to taxpayers and say, give us more money because we goofed up. I mean, what's the financial status right now?
Well, what happened actually was that they decided, Francis Howell, to their merit, decided that they would hold an audit. Now, this is an internal audit. Now, keep in mind that the superintendent reports to the board, and he oversaw. And I'm not saying anything against the superintendent at all. But what I'm saying is the situation is it's the employees auditing the person that is their boss. I mean, that doesn't work in the corporate world. Right. I don't think it works in the educational world either. So what we're calling for is for a full forensic audit to find out what really happened. Why did construction start? Who signed the purchase orders? We don't know those questions yet.
That should be public information, though. I mean, legally, shouldn't it?
Well, it should. It's just not easy to get to. There's a lot of different questions. The people that were in positions at the time construction was started, a lot of those have moved on to other positions.
Jane,
we have a new superintendent.
Oh, go ahead.
We have a new superintendent. We have a new facilities manager. We've got a bunch of new positions. And so it's kind of hard to question people once they leave the position.
Right. Is there a slate of candidates that are kind of running together? I know we've seen that sometimes in other school board elections where people will kind of team up and run as...
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. We are considered the three conservative candidates, and I can tell you that we're making the other side making their heads spin because we're saying things that they don't say and they don't want us to say, such as sexual indoctrination, overspending. Oh, it was just now we're being told this overspending was COVID and inflation. Really? $78 million, 91%? I don't think so. Right. But yes, the three of us are being supported as a slate. We have our signs with all three names on them.
So Jane, obviously the focus of any school district should be what learning is happening within the school district, and of course that's looked at over the last few years with parents wanting more of a say. Some school districts have been lukewarm to the idea at best. Others say parents don't have a right whatsoever to make these decisions or influence them. How would you assess Francis Howell School District's respect for parental rights and respect for parents as the boss when it comes to their kids' education right now?
Well, actually, that's one of the reasons I'm running is because there is not enough respect. The parents have real concerns when it comes to their kids, valid concerns, such as boys being in the girls' bathrooms. And girls, this is a real situation, a girl going into the boys' bathroom. I know the mother, the 15-year-old son, was appalled that a girl walked in on him as he's standing at the urinal. And I asked the mother, I said, well, surely she went into the stall. No, the young lady went to the urinal. That is not acceptable. The mother brought it to the administration's purview, and I guess they decide, or they haven't done anything about it yet. But that's just totally unacceptable in my mind. We get the parents that stand up. You get eye rolling, and you get the posture. We're so bored. No pun intended.
Right.
But they just aren't ready to address things. That's why the three of us are running, is we intend to get in there and make some real changes.
Jane, one of the big news stories this week, unfortunately, was about the school shooting in Tennessee. And obviously, one of the big issues on parents' minds and school boards' minds is proper, safety and security at their schools. What's your stance as far as how the schools can maybe fortify their security measures?
My stance is that better. I know that Francis Howell has some SRO in play and at some of the schools. I did receive an email from a mother who's very concerned about her school. She believes it's not secure, and I don't want to say the school, that attracts the wrong people. But, sure. I mean, just to get that email, I was like, really, in this day and age? I know the people that were in Nashville never expected a side door to be open. One of the things that I want to do as a retired nurse, I saw signs, that brought things to mind every day. I want to post signs in every building about security so that it becomes more of a habit than it does, oh, yeah, we forgot we have to do this, so that those side doors and things like that are not left open. I have also talked to a very highly qualified security person that's been in law enforcement, has seen the worst, has seen the best, and he's promised to work with us to look at options. Some of them very expensive, but who cares? What cost is life? Is a life. So I'm going to work with them to do what I can to make sure that no one can ever get in those buildings to harm these precious children at all.
We are visiting with Jane Pushkar. And Jane, I've just got a minute or so left, and we're going to put your website or social media, whatever you want, out there as well. I'm going to go out on a limb that the leftist teachers unions and others probably aren't real wild about your campaign. Differentiate yourself from kind of the establishment that's running public education right now in your district.
Suffice it to say, they hate it. They hate me. They hate what I stand for, and they're gunning for me. I've been called all kinds of names, accused of all kinds of wrongdoings, all untrue. All I want is to protect our precious children. And I know that maybe part of them wants that, but anything I say, they go the exact opposite. You can reach me on Facebook, vote for Jane Pushkar. It's Pusz as in zebra, Kar. You can go to my website, vote for FOR Jane Pushkar, PUSZKAR.org, or you can call me at 636-866-1510. I'm always going to make myself very accessible and ready to talk to people with their concerns and try to work towards a resolution.
All right, Jane, good luck on Tuesday. Appreciate you giving us an update.
Thank you for the time, Mike. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, you too.
You do the same. All right, 314-912-1019. Remember, Tuesday. Make sure that you get out there to vote. You've got school board candidates. You've got mayors. You've got
county councils.
County council. You've got city council. You've got tax increases proposals on the ballot. There's all sorts of stuff to make decisions on. And when so few people show up, again, your vote matters even more. And we've had success in the St. Louis area of winning back some of these seats. We've seen it Francis Howell. We've seen it in Rockwood. We've seen it in a couple other areas. It can and must be done. All right, just ahead, updates on some of the biggest stories happening around the nation and right around here in St. Louis, including a local prosecuting attorney calling it quits and walking off the job. Yeah.
Not the one we were hoping for.
Not the one we were hoping
Oh,
for.
rats.
Yeah. But one who, I'll tell you why he says he's leaving, and I'll tell you another factor that might be a contributor. We'll discuss that, among other things, at 8:22 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
It's official. Donald Trump has been indicted by the Manhattan DA. We'll get you the latest details on Friday. Plus, we'll get you ready for the weekend with the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton at 2:45.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
This is Mark Ponder. I'm a candidate seeking to be elected to the Francis Howell School District Board of Education. I'd like to make sure our district brings back fiscal responsibility due to the massive $78 million Prop S overrun. I want to communicate with the teachers and give them the support they need and certainly deserve. Ensure we communicate much more with the community that supports us and provide a transparency and education that will bring back the trust our voters surely deserve. On April 4th, I hope you'll consider casting your vote for me. For more information, you can find me on Facebook or visit voteponder.com. Paid for by Friends of Mark Ponder, Sherry McNeil, Treasurer.
Hey guys, it's Anna from Talkative. I am so excited to have finally found a coffee that doesn't leave me feeling jittery or overstimulated, and that's Pure Cure. Pure Cure is different from your average coffee company. They don't use artificial flavorings to mask a low-quality coffee. Instead, they have unique artisan roasts that showcase the full flavor of their coffee beans. I particularly love their signature blend, which is a take on amaretto, and you should check them out too. That's Pure Cure, PURCUR, coffee.com.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Fox News commentary.
I have long called for the elimination of TikTok in America, but the bipartisan bill supposedly written to do that is not what I asked for. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
I despise TikTok. Not only do I know it's a Chinese communist surveillance apparatus, I know it's making young Americans dumber. That's just a fact. But, and I hate to say this, the current bipartisan legislation on the table to ban it also gives me cause for pause. The bill itself essentially gives the U.S. government carte blanche to control and go after any and everything bureaucrats deem a national security risk. It is essentially the Patriot Act for the internet, and after reading it, I'm deeply troubled. Can y'all not just go after TikTok? We need to root out the communist national security threat, not give the government free rein to limit our online freedom. If this is the best y'all can come up with, I don't support it. I guess we as concerned Americans will just have to delete TikTok and rid it from our devices without your help then. We want the CCP out of our devices, but we aren't going to give up our rights and freedoms to get there, and we shouldn't have to. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio News Junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis from RedState.com, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It's Friday!
Okay, in the headlines, it finally happened. Donald Trump's indicted. I'm sure you've heard that. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Also, a local prosecuting attorney calls it quits just days before he faces a hearing connected to his own arrest. So it was not the prosecuting attorney we were all hoping was going to quit.
No.
But we'll get to that. Also, the Cardinals lose a wild, and I'm going to say entertaining game.
Yeah.
I hated that the Cardinals lost, obviously. But, man, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Oh, it was a great game.
It was because I went and watched it, over at the Post in Maplewood. And at one point, I'm like, hey, I'm the only one who's still here from the beginning of the game. It's like we've had a complete turnover and people were leaving every couple of innings. And I'm like, man, I'm there to watch the game. What's wrong with you people? And I thought, okay, I'm going to go home too. But I couldn't leave. I'm like, okay, just one more inning. Let's see what's going to happen. Ended up staying pretty much through the whole thing. I caught the last of it on MLB Network. But, yeah, it was quite a game. All right. As you would expect, opinions of the indictment of Donald Trump, let's just say they vary. Greg Clugston from townhall.com has the story.
The reactions range from outrage to vindication. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy denounced the Manhattan DA, claiming Alvin Bragg has weaponized our sacred system of justice. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Trump is subject to the same laws as every American. Meanwhile, Trump himself said he was completely innocent and called the indictment political persecution.
And once again, Greg Clugston at the White House. So where we're at right now is the indictment is still under seal, so we don't yet know for sure what the charges specifically are, or specifically how many. We've had multiple reports that say over 30 at this point. And the district attorney's office, the Secret Service, and Trump's team are working out an agreement for him to surrender for arrest and for booking. And I know nobody likes those terms, but that's just what the legal terms are, Susie. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the process.
That
at this
is the
point.
process.
Yeah, if the charges are completely unwarranted, it's still the process.
It is.
And explain again, if you wouldn't mind, Susie, when we hear that the indictment is under seal, for those of us who are not legal eagles, what does that actually mean? Because I think a lot of people are like, well, how subversive is this? Well, the charges may be, but the process is not that unusual at this point, other than it's a former president.
That part of it is unusual. No, that is part of a process where you've got a grand jury indictment. Until the prosecutor is ready to present that publicly, it is kept under seal. That there's nothing sinister going on there. That just means they haven't formally announced it yet. It's coming. It's that's just part of the process.
Now, will the decision on when Donald Trump will appear and surrender have anything to do with the timing of unsealing the indictment? Is that all part of the negotiations?
I don't think that's part of the negotiations. I think that's just a function of how the prosecutor's office is rolling things out. That's independent. Them unsealing the indictment and announcing it isn't in any way doesn't involve the negotiation with him surrendering and being booked, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and another part of the news story on this was that Trump's attorneys, according to his attorney, saying that they were going to send attorneys in to do the pleas on his behalf and all that, and the district attorney said, no, I want him to personally show up and go through the whole process, which is going to be complicated with the Secret Service there, but that's what they're wanting.
It is complicated. You know, I need to go back and listen to that, because to me that it's not at all unusual. And other than when you're talking about like a minor, like misdemeanor or traffic type case, a criminal, somebody who's charged criminally, at some point always needs to be present for part of the process. It's a required part of the process to ensure that they're actually getting due process. Is for them to have their day in court. So, it would have been surprising to me for this to be handled without him being present. Although the way that was kind of framed makes it seem like somehow the DA is being. I'm not on board with what the DA is doing here, but him expecting the defendant to be present in court for the part of the process doesn't seem strange to me.
See, that's why I'm glad you're here right now, is so that we understand what is part of the process and what is abusing the process, because there absolutely is overriding elements of abusing the process here.
Agreed. And here, there's two things I want to hit on there. Number one, we keep saying the Democratic talking point right now is no one is above the law. No one is above the law. Well, I think most people agree with that. No one is. Donald Trump isn't, Joe Biden isn't, Hillary Clinton isn't. No one is above the law. This isn't about being above the law, because no one is saying, hey, Donald Trump should be special and exempted from this. We're saying, where's the there? Like what? Okay, a business record was misclassified, and we knew that he had the money that went to the former porn star. It's very murky, and to go after and prosecute, particularly this long after the transactions that are supposedly the center of this, it looks wrong. So nobody is above the law, but nobody should be below the law either, and it shouldn't be targeted at somebody based on what their politics are and because you just hate them.
And what could happen, depending on who wins the next rounds of elections, is, okay, this is what you started, Democrats. We're now going after your people and indictments, and it would be wrong if there's not a there, like you said, as well. But my worry is that this is what we're degenerating into.
I don't want to see Hillary Clinton go to jail because some business record 7 years ago was misclassified as something. She's been in trouble for campaign violation stuff, and she's had to pay fines for that. That's appropriate. I realize there are other issues with Hillary, but I'm saying I can't stand Hillary Clinton.
Right.
But I don't want her going to jail or someone saying she needs to be booked and charged and have a mugshot over something like that. I know we had a question in the chat box.
Yes. What was that again?
It was about whether or not why could a state prosecutor bring a felon or a federal charge? And
hey, Stell, can you read the question?
Actually, it says, can a local prosecutor attach federal charges to state charges?
Okay. Yeah. And here's the answer to that. No, and that's not what actually is being done here.
Right.
Bragg is not going to be attaching federal charges to the state charges. What he's doing is, the basic mischaracterization or misclassification of the business record is a misdemeanor, and that's a 2-year statute of limitations. In order to make it a felony and one that would be subject to a longer statute of limitations, one that they may be able to work this in somehow, it has to be in the commission or with the intent to commit another crime. So what he's saying is he's bootstrapping that onto the fact that the intent behind this was to commit a federal election campaign violation by misclassifying it. And even though he wasn't prosecuted federally, because there was the intent to commit that crime, that turns this into a state felony. I know that's kind of twisted.
Right.
It is twisted, which is why people are saying this is ridiculous, that this is what they're trying to bring him down on. It's just, it's a stretch beyond a stretch beyond a stretch. And still, there's a 5-year statute of limitations for felonies. I know we had that thing with Judge Knapp last week where he was saying 7 years, but The only thing I could find that 7 years is in New Jersey. I couldn't find a 5-year or 7-year statute of limitations in New York.
Well, he was a judge in New Jersey.
Exactly.
So that may have
so
been
I'm
what he was
thinking
looking
that
at,
may have been
yeah.
what he was thinking. They have to stretch the very last transaction and that it was told part of the time while he was out of the state to get around the statute of limitations.
Okay, let's pick this up at 8:35 or so. Other prosecuting attorney news: St. Charles County prosecuting attorney Tim Lomar quits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that announcement came Thursday, and I don't really think there was a preview on that. He just kind of announced that he's done.
Yeah.
He says he's going into private practice. Now, keep in mind that he's had some issues of his own. He was arrested last July down in Miller County on suspicion of DWI. Now, he's not actually formally been charged in that case as of right now, but there is a hearing on that situation scheduled for Monday. Now, whether or not A equals B, I can't say for sure,
Yeah, I mean,
but that's the timing of what's happening.
The timing is there. And apparently he had let a couple people know, like Wesley Bell and the Steve Ellman, the county executive who has to appoint his replacement. He had given them a heads up that this was coming, but no one else. This wasn't in the news. People didn't, anticipate it.
I kind of did that. This morning when
I did too. I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's been the prosecutor for 10 years. He was just reelected in 2022, wasn't he? No, 2020.
I think it was 2020.
It was a 4-year term.
Yeah.
So he was elected to his that would have been his third term, and he's halfway through it, and he's walking out saying he's going to set up his own practice. So take that as you will.
Yep.
Whatever it is. All right. 314-912-1019. All right, just ahead, let's dive a little bit deeper into the bigger picture of the Donald Trump indictment. Got some thoughts on it. 314-912-1019. What did you feel when you heard the actual news? We'll talk about that right around 8:35 on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
And take your baby by the hill.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A very windy but mild morning with temperatures around the 60-degree mark for your drive in. The roads are a little wet from rain overnight. Most of that rain should be ending, but another round of thunderstorms expected this afternoon, and there's a risk of tornadoes, golf ball size hail, and some damaging winds with these storms. High temperatures will make it into the mid-70s today. The rain will die tonight, but the winds stay pretty strong through tomorrow. So we have a wind advisory in St. Louis for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Sunday will be mild with a high of 68 and sunny skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fence Works. STL Fence Works is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fence Works has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fence Works is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fence Works is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fence Works is maintenance-free decking. STL Fence Works is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fence Works make your outdoor space magical. Visit stlfenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fence Works, your satisfaction is our passion.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Everybody has the right to have their opinion and voice their opinion.
Perfectly well said. Make sure it's clear to everyone.
101.9 and 94.1.
Absolutely.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Just a quick note, pay attention to the weather today. Pay attention to the weather forecast, seriously.
Yeah.
We are going to be in store for some storms. These are going to be heavy storms. It is possible that they could be dangerous storms.
Yes.
So be very, very, very careful.
I have some storm chaser folks that I follow online. They're very concerned about
Really?
today. From Iowa through northern Illinois, down through here and into Arkansas.
Yeah, this is a very big storm system. Yesterday, the forecast had St. Louis square in the middle of the big red zone. Now they've got the red zones right to the north and to the south of us.
It looks like we may skate between them.
Right, but that still means that we're still expecting some heavy
Oh,
weather.
yeah, we're still going to have bad weather.
Yeah.
It's just we may dodge the worst of the weather.
Right. So it is possible that hail could happen. Don't be surprised if there's a tornado watch or even a tornado warning in the area. So just understand that that could be in store tonight. And then tomorrow, the weather is supposed to be pretty good. I mean,
windy in the morning.
Once
but
it,
then
mo-
it's supposed to,
once it moves out. Yeah. I'm supposed to play a scrimmage baseball game on Sunday. I don't know that that's going to happen. Just because if we get that much rain, I don't know if the fields are going to be ready by then. But if the wind's going to be blowing, can it please be blowing out over the right field fence because I'm a left-handed batter?
Like at Wrigley Field.
That's right.
Have it blowing out.
Have it blowing out when I'm up to bat and blowing in when the other team's up to bat. Is that too much to ask, really?
Yeah, it is.
So March is going out like a lion then.
That's right.
It's the last day of March today.
It is.
It is, yeah.
Boy.
Oh, man, which means tomorrow is April Fool's Day and all the misery that comes with that.
Yeah, at least this is Saturday.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, it is 8:37 right now. Susie Moore graciously in one more time of RedState.com fame, filling in for Gabe Pfeiffer. Stel Ponticus is here as well. Obviously, you know, the massive, massive story is that Donald Trump's been indicted. And let's also just real quick talk about why this is so massive. One, it's because there are so many people who are on such extremes regarding Donald Trump. Avid, vocal supporters stand by him through thick and thin, or hate him like he's the devil incarnate.
Right.
So, and then there's, a lot of people who just politics are politics, and they've got, their views, and they kind of pay attention right before the election. But there are so many people who are on either big sides. But one of the reasons isn't just because of that, although I think that the dedication to or the opposition to Donald Trump are as parts of it that make this massive. It's the fact that a former president has never been indicted on a criminal charge in the history of this country before.
No. I mean, Nixon came close, but then he got
Right.
pardoned by Ford, so that didn't materialize.
Right. So this is one of the reasons that this really is a big deal, even if you, regardless of what you think of Donald Trump, regardless of whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, this is a really, really big deal. The fact of the matter is that presidents are treated differently even in retirement. Now, Donald Trump doesn't want to stay retired. Obviously, he's running for office again.
Right.
But there are privileges that we do afford former presidents.
Yeah, courtesies.
Courtesies and privileges.
Right.
I mean, there are both of those that happen.
Sure.
Now, again, we talked earlier, nobody is above the law. I
No.
agree with that 100%. But we've also got this weaponization. And for instance, Donald Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, was on Hannity last night. And Sean Hannity was asking him, okay, what about the arraignment? Are they going to want the perp walk? And here's what Tacopina had to say.
I'm sure they're going to try and do that. Of course, everything they've done here is to gain attention. It's not for the right motives. There is no one that could ever convince me that this man was not just charged to affect the elections. The effect of free election in this country. And that's scary to me.
Okay, so that's a theme that we're hearing a lot is that this is election interference.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I don't think that's an unfair characterization. If it was for Donald Trump to ask the Ukrainian president to take a look at the Bidens back in 2000, way back when, if that was election interference such that it warranted an impeachment,
This is way
then
above
this
that.
is way above that.
Yeah.
that they set the standard.
Mm-hmm. So if Donald Trump is not running for election again, does this happen?
No.
Good question.
I say no.
I think I would agree with you, Susie. And I see someone who's putting his career on the line, like lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who comes out with the book Get Trump, and he delves into the whole aspect of what Bragg and Letitia James, we have to remember her too. Both of their campaigns centered on the fact that we're going to get Donald Trump. And Dershowitz has lost tons of friends and has lost appearances, etc. It's been a financial hit for him, but he's standing strong, and he's not a Trump supporter by any means.
No, not at all.
And then you've got like Geraldo Rivera, who is very liberal, borderline progressive, but he says the same thing. He's like, this is a ridiculous prosecution.
Yeah.
Now, he's friends with Trump, too. But, it's that gives you a little context there. The other thing about that, too, is, I think some people are assuming that they're doing this to take Trump out of the equation. I've got my tinfoil hat on, and I think they're doing it to keep him in the mix.
Expand on that, because I've had some similar thoughts on that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think there are some people who genuinely just want him gone, no matter how. They don't want him running for office. They don't want him to get the nomination. They don't want him to get the presidency again. I do think there are people that sincerely feel that way. But I also think that there are people in the media and even in politics that recognize they need him as the foil. It benefits them financially and potentially politically to have him be the guy. They would much rather run against Donald Trump than a Ron DeSantis or a Tim Scott.
I've thought the same thing.
So it's the old Claire McCaskill, Todd Aiken thing.
Yeah.
You're doing your little, you want the one that you think you've got the best chance against and or that you're going to make the most money off of from a media standpoint. What does the media do when Donald Trump is gone? He's going to be gone at some point.
Right.
What do they do?
Yeah. I mean, every politician, every president, whether it's one term or two terms, at some point they are retired and
they're
everything
mortal.
Everything is formal, or former, rather, I should say.
Yeah.
Everything is former. And, for instance, Jimmy Carter is unlikely to still be alive at the end of this year. He's in hospice care. At some point, everybody goes. Now, Donald Trump seems like he's in such good health. He's going to be around for a long time.
Right. But he's not immortal.
Right, exactly. So I've thought the same thing as well, as to, in a very bizarre way, they recognize that this is probably going to shore up some support for Donald Trump.
I'm guessing that's what they thought in 2015 and 2016.
I'm picturing Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You want me on that wall.
That's right. You need me on that wall. That's But, the thing in 2016, what's so funny about that is Donald Trump was probably the least conservative of the primary candidates.
Ideologically, yeah.
Yeah, he was the, it was a very populist campaign, and you think of all the other candidates, he became more conservative after getting elected, and I think a lot of that became because he got attacked so much from the hard left. He became what they hated when he was punching back.
And pushed him into it.
But, nobody really thought he had a chance to actually win the nomination.
No, Axelrod and that whole crew.
Right.
They were totally on board with, if Trump's in there, Hillary's going to win. This is awesome.
I thought that.
Failure to calculate the disdain for
Hillary Clinton. I honestly thought when the Republicans nominated Donald Trump, I thought, well, that's over. They're never going to win. And
we all did.
I was as surprised as anybody.
You can count on one hand the number of people that truly thought Donald Trump was going to beat Hillary Clinton.
Right.
I'll tell you a quick story. At the former radio station, and I was working overnights then, the morning crew started coming in for quite a few of the stations on the AM and FM side. At about 2 a.m. or 2:30, I'm out getting coffee, and I hear this loud shout from someone walking into the kitchen going, "What the blankety blank happened?"
Yep.
And you can fill in the blank as to who that might have been.
Yes.
And I'm not going to share the stations, but you can probably guess. But man, it just rang out through the hallways. What the blankety blank happened?
At least it wasn't on the air.
The mics weren't on.
Right. Might have been an AM station. I'm just saying. Okay, so how about this? I know we got to get to We've all worked there. Okay, we look at also, for instance, Congressman Jeff Van Drew was on Fox News at night overnight, and he was asked about this. So I want your, and I went, no, we're not going to be able to flush it out as much time as we want, but I want to get your initial reaction to this because I do think you can have an overreaction.
It's a sad day for the American people to actually have to witness this and see this and be part of it. It's a sad day for our Constitution, for our rule of law, for everything, for the goodness and the veracity of America itself. They're not attacking Donald Trump. They're attacking America.
I think they're attacking Donald Trump.
I think there's strategy that goes beyond Donald Trump, but that's maybe a little hyperbolic, but these are hyperbolic times.
Oh yeah, hysterical, hyperbolic. That's a good way to put it.
If you write a book, Susie, you can title it that. These are hyperbolic times.
We live in hyperbolic times.
Historic, hysteric, hyperbolic. Modern politics as I see it. If you write a book on that, that's free.
All right.
I just want some thanks in the forward.
Yeah.
All right. 314-912-1019. What's your take on all this? Got some time to get that in. Also, they think he's the future of the St. Louis Cardinals. We got to look at him yesterday. We'll get his impression of you here in St. Louis. Just ahead on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Larry Connors, USA.
Well, source matters a lot. That would mean the director of National Intel is either lying himself or he's not that intelligent.
Larry Connors.
Or both.
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. My wife and I wake up every day thankful to the Wallners for the great new home they helped us find and for the tremendous success we experienced while selling our old home. The Wallners have years of experience and a work ethic that is second to none, and for us, the results speak for themselves. But Tim, it's not just the Colombo family. So many St. Louis families have been helped by Rodney and Jen Wallner.
They sure have, Tony. So if you have been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. The market is changing, but it's still a great time to sell. Put that experience and work ethic to work for you and see firsthand why the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor before this window of opportunity passes you by. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wonder to yourself about how much you can get for it or how fast it could sell. Just call the Wallner team now and get those answers so you don't have to worry or wonder another day. Just call 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. For the Wallner Home Selling Team.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning, brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Appropriate. Working for the weekend. Mm-hmm. The lover boy there.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s.
Love it. Let's talk some baseball.
All right.
I don't want to downplay the importance of everything that's happened with Donald Trump, but I want to go into the weekend on something that puts a smile on my face, and that's baseball.
Two day games, Saturday and Sunday, by the way.
Fun.
1:15 games.
I'm going to be there Sunday.
Good.
Yep.
Section 157.
157. That's right.
Ooh,
So
nice.
if you're in 157, say hi. And actually, my daughter got those tickets, and she's the one that invited me to the game. She's like, oh, she wants to do a dad-daughter day at the ball game. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm there. So we're gonna see the Braves are in town for Sunday. So we got the
No, still Blue Jays.
Oh, I thought it was the Braves.
Braves are Monday.
Monday.
Braves
Oh,
Monday.
Monday. Okay, yeah. So Blue Jays. We'll see the Blue Jays as well. So that game was crazy yesterday. There were like 35, 36 hits in that game or something. I mean,
and a bunch of lead changes.
Yeah. The Cardinals had the lead 3 times.
Yeah.
And they lost. So they, Blue Jays scored 3 in the first inning, and then the Cardinals scored 1, and then
Tied it up a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's 5 or 6 lead changes, which made it for a fun game. I will tell you, I still thought that there was definitely a different feel to the game, and I think some of the strange stuff that happened was because of some of the new rules. The pitchers were rushed.
Yeah.
There was definitely a different feel, and I didn't really like it.
No.
But somebody's going to argue, well, there's a lot of action. Well, that was the longest game in Major League Baseball yesterday.
It was. It was over 3.5 hours, right?
3 hours, 38 minutes.
If I can drop in, by the way, since you mentioned the pitch clock.
Yeah.
Guess which team had the first violation of the pitch clock?
Was it us?
No, it was the Cubs.
Oh, was it? Okay. There was and I don't remember which game it was. I've got to look at. I was reading some of the sports stuff this morning. I didn't have enough time to read all the sports stuff. I did not know under these new rules that you could actually call a clock violation on a base runner. And I still haven't figured out how that happened. But there was a base runner called for some kind of clock violation. I have no idea how that happened. That makes no sense to me.
Know.
These rules are so stupid.
They're dumb.
But Jordan Walker made his debut. He started in right field. He had a couple of miscues, but this was literally the first time he's ever played at Busch Stadium.
And he's
youngest starter
20.
at that age in 100 years for the Cardinals.
He's 20, right?
He's 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So the youngest to ever start for the Cardinals was a guy by the name of Rogers Hornsby. Maybe you've heard of him, but
I've heard of him.
Heard of that guy. But he was, I think, like the overall youngest. He was like the 5th or 6th youngest debut for a Cardinal ever. And like for instance, there was one that was hit right down the line and it bounced off the wall and it kind of bounced up at him.
Yeah, and went through his legs.
Hit his glove and went through his legs. And so that's one of the things that's like, well, once you play out there a little bit, you're going to get a feel for that.
Yeah.
And folks need to realize he came up as a third baseman.
Yes.
And they switched him to right field, I think, in midsummer last year.
Right.
So he's not that familiar with playing right field.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And besides, you got this talent coming up, but you've got Nolan Arenado, who's on his way to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
10 straight gold gloves and 5 or 6 platinum gloves. I mean, you don't bump Nolan Arenado,
No.
the best third baseman in baseball right now. But his first at bat, did you see the standing ovation that he got?
Yep.
That is
great.
one thing that St. Louis fans are excellent about. And even if it's the visiting team, if somebody is making their major league debut, they get a standing ovation from St. Louis.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons St. Louis fans have such a good reputation. All fans in different ballparks and teams have reputations.
Sure.
St. Louis fans have a good reputation everywhere. Philadelphia Philly fans, by contrast, have a bad reputation everywhere. Oakland A fans have a reputation for being anywhere other than the ballpark.
Anywhere but there.
Basically, they had an opening day with Shohei Ohtani on the mound, and nobody was there. The place was almost empty.
I got to give you another pitch clock story, and this is comedic from my buddy Guy Phillips, who posted a video of the Clydesdales going around, and he said the umpires threw the Clydesdales out for taking too long going around the outfield. I thought that was great.
Guess what got Daisy's attention on the TV? The Clydesdales and the Dalmatian. She stopped and watched.
I was about to ask, was she jealous of the Dalmatian?
She was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
She was in the middle of playing with the other dog, and then she stopped and watched.
Okay, so Jordan Walker was asked about the whole thing because his first at bat, beautiful single right up the middle. And I'm a baseball player. I mean, that was a nice, he barreled that right up the middle, stayed down on it. And so he was asked about that and asked about just the fan reaction. So I put 2 of his statements together here. Whoops, and I missed the play button.
I mean, it was everything I could dream of, man. It was a really good feeling seeing all the fans stand up and cheer for me. Everything was good about it. I really enjoyed today, for sure. I knew these St. Louis fans were awesome, and they just showed every bit of that today.
I mean, can you imagine being 20 years old? and having that. Now, he actually had an RBI too.
Yeah.
And did you notice that Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the first baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays, he made it a point to make sure that Jordan Walker got both of those baseballs, his first hit and his first
good for
RBI.
him.
He made sure that was
classy.
sent in. It is very, very, very classy. So still, even though the Cardinals lost, I was impressed by the resiliency. I was less impressed by the bullpen, but we've heard that story before. I'm
Yes.
not going there right now.
And hopefully Contreras is okay.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm a catcher.
Yes.
Now, I play old man baseball where they're not throwing 103 miles an hour.
Right.
What that looked like to me, tell me if you, because you played baseball too, Steve, that looked to me like there was a little bit of a cross-up between Jordan Hicks and Wilson Contreras because that ball hit him square. I know people say, well, you've got all that gear on. That just keeps something from being broken. It still hurts when you get hit.
Right.
And that was square on 103 miles an hour on the kneecap.
Yep.
So that looked to me like either location or Contreras was expecting a slider and got a fast. I'm not, or vice versa.
Yeah.
That looked like there was a mix-up there.
Probably.
And knowing it was 103 miles per hour, Contreras may have been just caught off guard, too.
Yeah.
Right? And pitch location, that was my first thought.
Right,
was he didn't put it where he wanted it.
Yeah, he is like he was trying to dart the glove down, which tells me that a location was missed or he was expecting something else.
Hopefully he's okay. And by the way, Contreras wore shoes that had Respect
Yes.
4 on there, which I thought was very classy.
He was all about Yadier Molina on that. And
Miss you, Yachty.
somebody was foolish enough to try to steal a base for the Blue Jays yesterday.
Got thrown out. That's right.
Oh,
You
man.
live, you learn.
And it wasn't even close, even with those great big bases. I mean, Contreras just gunned him down. It was awesome.
Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess the last report I heard that is that it's a bruise. It's a contusion.
Contusion.
So hopefully he gets back on the field pretty quick because, I mean, I'm excited to see what Contreras is going to be able to do there. And he may be the only guy in Major League Baseball who could follow Yadier Molina in St. Louis. I can't think of somebody else who would not be basically looked at in a good light, but he's done really, really well. All right, Vic Forcelli, Ken Williams coming your way here at 9:04. I wonder what they're going to be talking about.
I wonder.
Oh, I don't know. Find out. Wait and see.
Coming up on 9 a.m. in Mid-America, welcome home.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.